Hey guys, welcome in. Armed American Radio will begin at 6 minutes after the hour. Good lineup for you today. Coming in at the bottom of this hour, you got me for the top half of the hour. Alan Gottlieb is ill today, but we have some things to cover with you, not the least of which is Gavin Newsom. Wait till you see this. Well, hear this. If you're watching, you still won't be able to watch it, but you'll hear it because it is a radio show. We're going to tell you what he had to say when he was gifted a SIG. Well, we'll talk a little bit about that. And bottom half of the hour, AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News will be here. And the top half of the next hour, we're going to have Joe LoPorto from the Firearms Owners Syndicate up in New Jersey. A lot going on in New Jersey. We're going to cover that with you. Followed by Stephen Gutowski from The Reload, breaking all kinds of great insight on some of the latest happenings with our Second Amendment issues over the past week or two. And then a classic Armed American Radio roundtable with the crew, Justin Moon, CEO of Kahr Arms, Brad Premo, CEO of Leadsinger's Whiskey, and, of course, Ryan Petty, Parkland father. So buckle in, stay tuned. It's going to fly right by. It always does. We'll be with you in about 5 minutes.
giving them anything.
From the Kahr Firearms Group studio
at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association.
National Rifle Association.
Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast begins right now. Glad to have you with us today. As you just heard, all of this is being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. We'll talk more about the NRA coming up in just a little bit. We're live here. Yeah, gotta love that, at the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center on the Patriot Communication and Command Center microphone. And Greg in Dallas, Texas, how are you today, my friend?
Not too bad. Here we are. Nice Sunday gun day.
Sunday gun day. Yeah, I got a little bit of a scratchy throat and sinuses, man. I don't know what's going on. Not sick, but, just kind of stuffed up and stuff. I got my handy-dandy Benzodrex there. Keeps my sinuses clear when you're on the mic. What's going on, brother? How are you?
No, not too bad, man. Not too much on allergies for me, but we've been having a lot of rain over here, so.
Yeah, Texas has been getting a lot, and it's been pretty dry here.
Abnormal.
Well, typical afternoon thunderstorms, but that's typical for the summertime in South. Not that big of a deal, but not a whole bunch anyway. Yeah, you guys have been getting pounded, man. And again, hearts go out to the folks down in Kerrville area. Good heavens, and they just keep getting slammed with more flash flood warnings.
Yep.
Yeah, well, we all know it's Trump's fault.
Sure, yeah.
It's Trump's fault. They're seeding clouds and stuff. That's what it is.
Yep,
Chemtrails
absolutely.
And all that stuff. It's got to be Donald Trump's fault. And if you're Chris Murphy or, the rest of them, or Wasserman Schultz or Jasmine Crockett and the rest of those clowns, it's definitely Trump's fault. So, Greg, we're live on Facebook, on social media platform, facebook.com/Armed American Radio, facebook.com/Armed American Radio. You can tune in and watch us live over there. We've checked everything. Connections are good and solid. We love that. And, Greg, I'll let you tell everybody else where they can go. And then you and I are going to have a conversation for about a half hour about some things that are happening and some great news with Armed American Radio this past week. We'll talk a little bit about that because it's really fun. And it's powerful stuff. It really is. And we'll set up the show for you. So go for it, Greg.
Yeah, sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters over there. On X, we're at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, and then select your watch live or listen live option. If you want to join our live chat, just download the Telegram messaging app, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
And Greg, you know what's coming up September 26th? We're going to hit this a little bit today. September 26th to the 28th. Can you believe the Gun Rights Policy Conference is right around the corner? It's the middle of July.
I was going to say GRPC, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's in Salt Lake City this year. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to visit saf.org/GRPC for the Gun Rights Policy Conference. The speaker lineup is huge. I'll give that lineup during the next half hour of great speakers here this year at Salt Lake City. But it's hard to believe. You think it's middle of July. September seems so far away. It's not.
No, it's real good. I mean, Labor Day is just around the corner.
6 weeks to September.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. And then you think of kids going back to school, at least around this area, they go back to school August 2nd, which is nuts. So they're preparing to go back to school in 2.5 weeks. It's hard to believe. But guys, the Gun Rights Policy Conference is coming up in Salt Lake City at the Marriott downtown in Salt Lake City. I've been there before and stayed there. It's a beautiful place. We have great rates for you. The speaker lineup is just a litany of one power right after the next, fighting for your gun rights. Great rates over there. It is free to attend. Now, you got to get yourself there, and you got to pay for your room, but the packed day is Saturday, and then, of course, the speakers continue on Sunday for most of the day, and that's when most people are doing their traveling. And just come in for a day, come in for 2 days, have some fun, and shake paws with Alan Gottlieb, myself, and many, many others. Cam Edwards is going to be speaking there this year, which is always fun. And as I said, I'll give you the lineup. But mark it down. It is September 26th to September 28th. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That weekend, you come in on Friday and have some fun with everybody, and great dinners planned for you, happy hours, all kinds of fun stuff. Salt Lake City at the Marriott downtown. And Greg, what brought that up, of course, it will start mentioning it now, but I voiced some radio spots this weekend, and I thought, wow, we are right around the corner from that already.
Yeah.
That means fall is here. That means we've got a lot of traveling to do, and that means SHOT Show is right around the corner. I don't even want to think about it, but it's less than half the year away already. Trying to wish our life away, right? So, what happened this week? Well, Armed American Radio, ladies and gentlemen, made the list. Your favorite radio show, if not your favorite weekend radio show, I hope, but your favorite radio show, and this host made the Talkers Heavy 100. Top 100 most important show hosts. Yes. Top 100 most important talk radio show hosts in the nation, and top 100 most important shows in the nation. Host and show go together. And to say that that's an honor is an understatement, because that puts us on the list with the elite of the elite in talk radio. And I am humbled by that, to say the least. And I also want to point out that the great Andy Hoosier made that list as well. Armed American Radio came in number 91 on that list of 100, and Hoosier Reason, Andy Hoosier, came in number 94. So that's really cool to see. And we appreciate you, and I want to take this opportunity to thank all of our partners and all of our great affiliates. The list continues to grow. And I guess we're on Comcast TV and Xfinity TV live streams and stuff now. I don't even know how all that works. But the list just grows exponentially. We keep adding new affiliates. Fort Walton Beach, you're tuned in right now, and a number of other stations that were just picked up. I can't even keep track of them anymore, but the growth is just huge. And ladies and gentlemen, it comes down to you. It really does. Thank you. 17 years on the nation's airwaves. We will celebrate our 17th anniversary. I should say we're in our 17th year. That's what happens the day after your 16th anniversary. You begin your 17th year. That's the way our calendar system is structured, right? And April 26th will mark our 17th year, and April 27th will begin our 18th year as we head into 20 years on the nation's airwaves. It's truly an honor, and we thank each and every one of you for making that happen. And other than that, Greg, I'm pretty speechless, but you've been in radio a long time. You know the powerhouse of that list.
Yeah, that list has been around, and a lot of people have seen a lot of success coming off of that thing, and it's nice to make it, because there's a lot of people out there talking, and there's a lot more than 100 to be recognized as one of the 100. That's a little feather in your cap, definitely.
It definitely is. There are thousands and thousands of talk radio hosts, conservative talk radio hosts across the country, and they're all very good at what they do. And there are many that should be on that list that are not. And to make it anywhere on that list is quite an accomplishment, and we are just thrilled. So we want to thank the staff, Michael Harrison, Talkers Magazine, and everybody else. But it's a big, as I said, it's a big testament to you, ladies and gentlemen. 17 years on the nation's airwaves. One fun thing about it is we're an independently owned show. We're not a network-owned show, which makes it all that much more special. So thanks to Michael Harrison, the editorial board, and everybody over at Talkers Magazine. Greg, Gavin Newsom's at it again, bro.
No.
Yeah, I got to switch gears. You go from that to Gavin Newsom, right? But I can't help myself, because Gavin Newsom is, oh boy, you got to be careful.
Scum?
Well, Trump refers to him as new scum, right?
A lot of people do.
A lot of people do. I would refer to him in another setting that was not FCC controlled, probably a little bit differently. But the Daily Wire has a piece out today, and I was aware of Sean Ryan's interview, former Navy SEAL Sean Ryan's interview with Democratic governor. I say Democrat because the Democrats hate being called Democrats. They want to be called Democratic. Democrat governor Gavin Newsom insisted during his interview that he was not anti-gun at all. Why? Because Sean Ryan gifted him a SIG P365X macro, which I have that very gun. I carry that gun religiously all the time. That and a few others, just for fun. What am I carrying today? Well, I'm carrying this Smith & Wesson Centennial in a crossbreed outside the waistband, but that's just because I like to mix it up a little bit. But Newsom made the following statement. He said, the last thing people would expect is to hear that I respect this gift. I'm not anti-gun at all. Now, he looks right into the host and a camera and says, I'm not anti-gun at all. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been telling you for years on this program that these insidious people will tell you at midnight that the sun is shining. They will look you right in the camera and lie to your face. Newsom does it all day long. He says, and we'll talk about this when we come back from this upcoming break, I'll quote this, then I'm going to play the clip for you because I want you to hear it in his own words. I'm for just some gun-safe common sense. I'm challenged by large capacity magazine clips in urban centers, weapons of war, sometimes outgunning the police. But otherwise, man, people have the right to bear arms. And I got no ideological opposition to that at all. Now, I'm not going to go any further because we're going to take a break. We'll talk about it when we come back. But Greg, seriously?
Yeah, it's slimy coming out of his face.
When I heard this, I felt like I had to take a shower again.
Yeah, when I watched it, I was amazed.
You know, when you listen to these people, you have to wonder how many people pay attention to this and believe this guy. We're going to play the audio clip. It's about 51 seconds. You'll have some fun with it, and we'll have some fun with it too. Why? Because we can. California listeners, you're listening all up and down the coast. We love you guys. Yeah, this is your governor. Thank God he's not mine, but he does want to be my president. And we have to stop him. We'll be back. Armed American Radio's Monstercast continues after the break. Mics and cameras are up. following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show indeed. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today on literally hundreds of radio stations across the country live. We appreciate each and every one of you affiliates. It's awesome. Thank you for continuing to carry the program and to continue to help us grow. It's just fantastic. The National Rifle Association is now bringing you this show every single day, 6 days a week. And guys, you can join the NRA, and many of you are. There's that range bag. We're giving away a range bag specifically to you. It's not a promo. It's not a contest. If you join the National Rifle Association, and I have the page up right in front of me, if you go to nra.org/AAR, you'll see the range bag and the binoculars at the top. And all you got to do is sign up for a 1 year or 3 year membership, whether it's a new one or whether you renew. Doesn't matter. Just go there and do it. It's all done for you. Right there, if you go to that page, nra.org/AAR. And when you do that, if you sign up for a 1 year or 3 year renewal or new membership, you will get a range bag sent to you from the NRA. Plus, you get your choice of magazine, and you get a great discount off the price. It's $35 for an annual membership, guys. If you don't want to donate any more money, that's fine. Don't. Join, though. Be a member of the NRA. We need you to stay the powerhouse that the NRA is, period. It is the largest civil rights organization in the United States of America and has been for 150 years. Don't let the left tell you otherwise. That's a fact. Look it up. So you can join nra.org/AAR. If you sign up for a 5 year, which I did, or the life membership, guess what happens? You get the 10x42 binoculars and all the other cool swag as well. And then when this is over and the range bags are gone and they're moving quick, so take advantage of this quickly. Get free stuff when you have a chance, right? I love that. One of you will win Greg, it's a second range bag that's going to be loaded with AAR sponsor swag, including a lot of cool AAR stuff. So one of you will get that. That's where the contest comes in, right? So when you sign up, you're going to get the range bag as long as it's still available to you. And then one of you is going to get a second one and win that grand prize, which is awesome. So make sure to check them out. Coming to you from the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center on the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center microphone. Again, all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. And Greg, I was remiss in the previous segment. I failed to mention you. We couldn't do this show without you, okay? We wouldn't hit the list without you. The work that you do here is incredible. You work behind the scenes. People get to hear you from time to time on the microphone. Love bringing your perspective to the show. Thank you for what you do. We couldn't do it without you, Greg. So we appreciate that very much.
I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. I think this came up because we were talking about how the Talkers doesn't mention producers. And let me play the saddest violin for me.
I got a tissue
poor pitiful me.
Poor pitiful you. We might as well mention Shanto as well.
Yeah.
Sean Shanto Young. Guys, if you've been listening to the program for all these years,
He's here almost 10 years.
He was here, about 10 years, maybe even close to 12, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you might be right.
About 12 years. But there was, I guess, a conversation going on. Sean mistakenly thought we had been on the list before, but we had not, unless I missed it. That's not something you miss in this industry. That's like getting an Oscar and not knowing you got an Oscar. That's literally what that's equivalent to. So I think I would have known that. But I want to thank Shanto Young, and everybody that's been associated with the show over the years that helped us get here. We appreciate that very much. All right, so let's play the Gavin Newsom clip. You have this queued up and ready to go? Let's do this.
Yeah.
Last thing people would expect is that I respect this gift.
Ready for this?
This is an accident. I got to report this gift, man.
That is a California compliant Big Sour P365 macro.
This is too cool. The fact that you would give me this. You just want TSA to take this from me and not the airport. I'm on to you, man.
I got a buddy at SIG, and he was like, you got to get a SIG in his
You
hands.
gotta make this up.
Jason.
Brother, this is fabulous. I'm not anti-gun at all. I'm for just some gun safety, common sense. I'm challenged by large capacity magazine clips in urban centers, weapons of war, sometimes outgunning the police. But otherwise, man, people have the right to bear arms, and I've got no ideological opposition to that at all.
First of all, Sean had to point out the gun was California compliant.
Yep.
It's a SIG P365 handgun, one of the most popular carry guns in the country.
Yep.
And it's got to be California compliant. He's not anti-gun.
Not at all.
He knows he can't screw you out of your Second Amendment and your right to own a gun, so he's going to try to make it hard for you, and he's going to have to make it California compliant, which is magazine capacity and everything else, because that's a 17+1 in the pipe. for 18 rounds. You cannot do that in California, number one. And I'm sure there's others. Maybe I don't know what else they are. I should know that. What's on that list? Some of you are screaming right now. Those of you in California, I don't know if it's magazine disconnect. I have no idea whatever else they put on it. I've lost count. All I can tell you is Gavin Newsom is full of crap. And we all know it. But just by mere fact that it has to be California compliant. He talks about the AR-15. He says the fact that this judge, in 2021, Newsom bashed a federal judge. After that judge ruled that California's assault weapons ban was, quote unquote, unconstitutional and violated the Second Amendment. And here's what Newsom had to say about it. The fact that this judge compared the AR-15, a weapon of war that's used on the battlefield, which it is not. I'm not anti-gun.
So
People are going to be
pathetic.
shocked by this. I'm not. I'm really not. I mean, come on, man. You have a right. Oh, good heavens. That's why we're beating him in court. Case after case after case. Why are we fighting them? Because he's anti-gun. They're all his ideas that he's pushing through a majority, Democrat-controlled legislature, supermajority-controlled legislature. He gets whatever he wants. And he tries to skirt
liar.
the Second Amendment. Blatant liar every day. But he says the fact that this judge compared the AR-15, a weapon of war that's used on the battlefield, which it is not, to a Swiss Army knife completely undermines the credibility of this decision as a slap in the face of the families who've lost loved ones to this weapon. They didn't lose loved ones to this weapon. They lost loved ones to criminals
Yeah, exactly.
who murdered their loved ones.
Exactly.
Would it matter if they murdered him with his new P365 California compliant XL? There you go, new scum. There's one for you. How about you answer that? Hey, Sean Ryan, how about you ask him that question? Oh, we should get him on this show, shouldn't we? Wouldn't
Newsom or Sean Ryan?
No, Newsom. Wouldn't that
Newsom?
be fun to do?
Oh man, would he is the thing. And here's the best part of it is I don't know if you saw the promo for the show Friday for Sean Ryan, but Gavin was sitting on the couch with his legs crossed in the most feminine way I've ever seen a man sit with their legs crossed ever in my life. I mean, it put Emmanuel Macron looked masculine with Gavin Newsom sitting that way. It was amazing.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, he goes on. He says, we're not backing down from this fight because he respects your Second Amendment, and we'll continue pushing for common sense gun laws that will save lives. Ladies and gentlemen, the AR-15 is not a weapon of war, and it's not used on the battlefields, okay, by modern militaries. It isn't. It's a civilian version of the U.S. military's M4. That's all it is, which is a fully automatic weapon. Fire in full auto and 3 bursts, as well as semi-auto. The AR-15 is just a semi-automatic 223 5.56 rifle. That's all it is.
Hold on there. How dare you confuse them with numbers and 5.56s and 223s? Those are gigantic shells, my friend, and they will explode a deer as soon as they hit it.
Yeah, I'm a guest frequently on Mark Cox's morning show in St. Louis on Tuesdays.
20.
And, he plays an intro, and I forget who it is. Well, one of our favorites, like a Sheila Jackson Lee or a Jasmine Crockett-ish type person. If you shoot a deer with an AR-15, you
That's
can
what I'm
cook it
talking
from the
about.
inside. I mean, okay, Newsom. All right, no big deal. But he has signed more anti-gun legislation, I think, than any governor in the history of the United States of America. And we have had great success in the Ninth Circuit beating him and all of his Second Amendment support in Sacramento. And we're going to continue to do it, Gavin. I'd love to bring up the lawsuits that he's losing. Maybe. You never know. Maybe we should do that. Armed American Radio's Monstercast comes back with AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News. Don't go away. Guys, we got the mics live for you during the break a little bit. The Newsom stuff is funny. It's really hard to keep a straight face when you listen to this guy and repeat what he says. It would be interesting. Newsom, I got to hand it to the guy. The guy's polished, man. He's smooth, right?
He's slimy smooth.
He is slimy smooth. But it would be, I can be slimy smooth. So it would be an interesting conversation. I wouldn't attack him. I wouldn't, go after him and attack him. I would conversate with him and ask him about all of his losses in court, and then ask him to justify his support for the Second Amendment. And I would start with, why does it have to be California compliant? And you know what he'll do? He'll go to common sense on that. He would say common sense. It's just common sense to only have 10 rounds. Okay. That's what he would do. But it would be fun. Be a fun conversation. Let's turn the AC on. How about that? A Tango 6, the Tango 7 AC is on. Over.
Bravo 6 getting cold.
Patrick, yes, I did say conversate. Oh, golly, too funny. I'm not going to remind.
You could also rerun this for AWR if he hasn't heard it.
What's that?
This he probably sent it to you. This Newsom clip.
No. I picked that on my own doing prep today. I just thought it was too good to pass up because he is so smooth. And it's easy to see how really stupid people can fall for him literally without batting an eyelid. They can. That's how dangerous. He's a very
especially
dangerous
if they haven't kept track of what he said in the past.
Well, you underestimate him at your own peril, okay? And I'll tell you what's even more dangerous is this Mondani character in New York is going to make Gavin Newsom look like center.
Yeah.
And that
may be the
don't
whole,
think that he's not aware of that. He is. He's going to use that to his advantage.
That may be the whole play.
You know, you got this Fetterman character who, you know, he has said a lot of the right things lately. But you have to remember, you go back and look at his voting record for 4 years. Fetterman has voted with Biden. Fetterman voted with Biden lockstep the entire 4 years. So what's coming out of his mouth isn't what's coming out of his pen, and his vote isn't what's coming out of his mouth right now. However, I will hand it to him because of the shift to Mondani in New York. You know, Fetterman's in a swing state. He's got to be real careful with what he says.
All right, man. AWR's on hold.
All right, surprisingly,
and we're 5 seconds out.
Surprisingly, he's doing a great job of whatever it is he's trying to accomplish. So I got to hand it to him. He's a lot more genuine than Newsom.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason on KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker, and you're tuned into the Armed American Radio Network. Now let's get back to the man himself, Mark Walters.
Yeah, that's Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason. Talker's top heavy 100 hitter himself, coming in at 94. And for those of you who like to listen to Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, and there are many of you around the country that like to do that, well, I can tell you that Andy Hoosier, because I have some personal things that need to be taken care of Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, Andy will be sitting in for me on at least Wednesday and Thursday. So that's a beautiful thing. So we've got a super high qualified host. If you listen to Andy, you know how good he is. As far as I'm concerned, he's one of the top 3 talk hosts in the nation. The guy is amazing. Let's get back here now to AWR Hawkins, who I guess we have AWR on the line, right, Greg?
Yep.
All right, AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News. How you doing, my brother?
I'm on, baby. I'm on.
You're on? You ready?
You ready?
AWR is on and ready. Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about Chicago.
Chicago.
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's weird, my man. They put these numbers out. Chicago has been all year, not Chicago proper, but groups who, quote unquote, fight gun violence have been putting out these numbers all year saying, we're making progress. We're doing better. We're doing a lot better. And so then you look, in the last 12 months, over 2,200 people.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it again. And, Mark, I know you've seen the number. You know I'm not making it up. Over 2,200 people have been shot in the last 12 months. I'm going to tell you, I don't care what kind of quote-unquote progress you're making. If 2,200 people were shot in the last 12 months, somebody else needs to take your place, your job. You're doing terrible at your job. I mean, you're like an oil change guy who forgets to put the plug in the pan.
Yeah, it's a great analogy.
About 50% of the time.
Well, AWR, you and I have covered, we've talked about this before, but you and I have covered in Chicago, and I'm glad we're bringing this up, tens of thousands, stadiums filled with people, shooting victims in Chicago over the last decade and a half that you and I have been working together. I want you to let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, here's the numbers to date in Chicago right now. July to date, and we are 13 days into July as you're listening to this show live. Shot and killed 23, shot and wounded 109, total shot 132. Total homicides 26. 23 of those were shot and killed. Just last week, because remember, AWR, they don't stop killing each other during the week, right? This is not just a Friday to Monday thing, right?
No, correct. I believe I covered that week before last on a Wednesday night. There was a album introduction party by a particular rapper. I can't remember the rapper's name. And I believe either 13 or 18 people were shot at that party. That was on a Wednesday night. So, yeah, they don't wait for the weekend.
Yeah. You know, it was rapper parties. I don't know that I'd be attending any of those, to be honest with you.
Let me say something if I can. You use the big figure. And I don't know if people really understand it. And I don't mean understand. That's a bad way to say it. I don't know if it really soaks in. You say that you and I have talked now for 10, 11 years. I think I've been with you that long. And you say we've probably talked about 10,000 people being shot in Chicago. And I would imagine there's someone who goes, oh, that's an exaggeration. There's no way. Think about what I just said. Yeah. In the last 12 months alone, 2,200 people were shot. To say that in 10 years, 10,000 people were shot is not only is it not an exaggeration, it's an understatement.
Think of how many movie theaters of people that is. You know, what you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, radio is theater of the mind. When we give you these numbers, and they are accurate, and they're literally up to date. Now, they're going to update again in 2.5 to 3 hours from now. Tomorrow, these numbers will update. What we're giving you now, it's going to be higher for the day and the weekend at about midnight Eastern time. Now, keep this in mind, AWR. If you visualize, maybe visualize your church congregation. Maybe visualize a movie. My mom and dad went to a movie today. Visualize the theater that you were in and how many people it seated. Visualize a classroom. Visualize whatever it is you want to, a venue that you might attend. Maybe it's a play. Maybe it's a restaurant you go to regularly. Think about how many thousands of people, how many roomfuls of those rooms of people we're talking about. I think that's a good way to couch it, AWR. It puts it in perspective and makes people realize, good, I never thought about it that way. But 2,200 people in the last 12 months. And just if that number stayed true, we were doing this 10 years, we would have covered 22,000 people.
Right.
That's a stadium.
But facts being facts, during the handgun ban, which existed in Chicago until 2010, during the handgun ban, murders and shootings were far higher.
Oh,
so
much
when
higher.
we talk now, 2,200 in the last year of victims, that's nothing compared to what we would find if we looked at the years during the handgun ban. So we are dealing with the lowest possible numbers, and they still exceed the 10,000 figure you give. And I'm only saying that because I want people to understand exactly what you're saying. 10,000 humans.
Yeah,
shot.
It's insanity. And guys, let me give you some weekend numbers. This is, I hate to use this word fun. It's fun to put these numbers together to help you visualize this, but it's absolutely horrific what we're talking about. But I want you to think about this. Year to date, total shot 975 in Chicago. That number will go up when these numbers that I have update at midnight AWR Eastern time, or probably Central time. Total homicides 229, shot and killed year to date 189, shot and wounded 786. Total shot 975 people. Now, if we go back and look at individual weekends, let's take this weekend just over, let's go back to 2015. Just this weekend alone over the years. Here's the numbers, folks. This weekend, the demonized tally, 4 killed, 18 wounded. This weekend last year, 11 killed, 29 wounded. 2023, 5 killed, 41 wounded. 41. We're talking in a weekend. 2022, 9 killed, 18 wounded. Get this for 2021, AWR. We're talking right at the height of COVID, right? 13 killed, 62 wounded. 2020, 4 killed, 59 wounded. 2019, 8 killed, 43 wounded. So and these are average, this is the average is going to be right around in the 45 area if you look at those numbers over the last 10 years. So for Chicago to say that they're making progress, I guess they are if there's only 18 wounded this weekend. But what does that say?
Right. What does it say? Because Chicago, like all of Illinois, has an incredible amount of gun control. An incredible amount of gun control. And Chicago has handled things with a gun control first attitude for years. Courts have began to curtail that over the last 5-6 years. But Chicago was nothing if not a gun control experiment, and the handgun ban proved it. And I can tell you right now, I do not need to study any further and examine figures any further to know the experiment failed. I can tell you that right now.
It's clearly a failure. And this number in Chicago, to put this in even more perspective for you, because we have the actual numbers, ladies and gentlemen. We are not making this up. A person is shot every 4 hours and 47 minutes in Chicago. A person is murdered every 20 hours and 19 minutes in Chicago. Every 4 hours and 47 minutes, a person is shot, a person is killed, murdered, every 20 hours and 19 minutes. That's through 7/12. And it's referred to on the page that I go to anyway as the 2025 Chicago shot clock. And not only do we have those numbers, we can tell you how many were headshots, how many were arms, wounded in the torso, lower body. We have these numbers. And it is really despicable to see. It really, truly is despicable to see. So you have to wonder, AWR, at what point is the Chicago mayor going to get off his duff and quit worrying about protecting illegal criminal aliens and start worrying about protecting his law-abiding citizens that have to live through this nightmare in Chicago every single day? We're getting ready to take a break, AWR. When we come back, I want to go back to that question. I'll let you close this out because there's got to be an answer. Hold on to it because we're going to take a break. But there's got to be an answer to this, and you got to ask the question, ladies and gentlemen, why don't they fix it when they know they can? Why do they allow people like me and people like AWR Hawkins to talk and write about this and make them look stupid weekend after weekend after weekend for decades at a time? It's incredible when you think about it. We'll be back with AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News right after this. Don't go away. See you on the flip side of the break, guys. Guys, those are remarkable numbers, and I see somebody posted it in the chat. We're not hiding any source from you. You can visit heyjackass.com, heyjackass.com, and see these numbers for yourself. Bookmark it and go back and watch it every day. We do. We watch it every single day. We've watched it every day for years, and as we've watched this unfold over the last 17 years, it has been remarkable to see. And the person shot clock, the 2025 shot clock, we've seen it as low as 2 minutes. And about every 14 hours, I think, at some point, it's been far lower than that. Or far higher, depending on how you want to phrase that. But heyjackass.com has got it going on over there, and these numbers are updated. They'll update again tonight. Fun to watch. Disgusting, but fun to watch.
All right.
I was just telling viewers to head over to heyjackass.com, Greg. which is where we get our numbers on a regular basis. We found this to be the most accurate when you do comparisons, and they're spot on time with this over there, these guys. Really remarkable. This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back. Yeah, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Attorneys on Retainer is the real deal, and I had hoped to have one of the attorneys on the show today, but we couldn't get anybody to break away. We're going to try to do that this week before I cut out on Wednesday. And golly, guys, the Kayla Giles case is now rearing its head again. And we're going to talk about this because Mark Victor, the founder of Attorneys on Retainer, is now defending her. And she's been acquitted of murder by the Louisiana Supreme Court. And that was a USCCA case that they dropped her. And Mark Victor over at Attorneys on Retainer is saying now that that charge, that USCCA should now be covering her legal fees. So this is going to be really fascinating to watch unfold, and I can't wait to get Mark on the program to talk about this, because that's what they do over there, ladies and gentlemen. They're the only law firm in the country solely dedicated to self-defense. And if you carry a firearm like I do, and I held it up during one of the breaks, and I'm actually held it up on camera. It's sitting right here in its holster. Guys, I have them. You should have them too. Why not? If you have to use your firearm, for crying out loud, it's too late at that point. So do it beforehand. Visit attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. Get $50 off your sign up. It's $35 a month, and you've got attorney-client privilege immediately. And if there's ever an investigation, if you are found to be under investigation because you had to defend your life with a firearm, you've got legal counsel right now. You can get legal counsel now too, but after the fact, it's going to cost you might have to mortgage your house, kids' educations. It'll bankrupt you. So don't put yourself in that position. It is an absolute no-brainer. Sign up over there at attorneysonretainer.us and have attorneys in your hip pocket. It's just flat out no-brainer. You can find all of our great partners, including Attorneys on Retainer, right on the front page at armedamericanradio.com or .org. Take your pick. We got them both covered for you. AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News. So I got to go back to that question. When will any mayor, not just this mayor, AWR, the Democrats have controlled Chicago for over a century. They literally own this. They can place no blame anywhere. What do they try to do? They try to blame, as you know, AWR, Indiana and Wisconsin for their problems. But we all know that's a bunch of, Gavin Newsom type, bait and switch bunk. The fact of the matter is it's purely their failed policies. But do you think they will ever decide, okay, we're going to do something about this?
No.
Simple answer.
You told me to answer. You told me to answer in one word, and that's the only word I would have used anyway. No.
Yeah, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. And, you know, sadly, AWR, you are spot on. The old My Cousin Vinny, you are dead on, blank, accurate. No question about it. So today you and I talked earlier, 2 dead, state trooper wounded after a traffic stop, which then led to a church shooting in Kentucky. Now, I have some questions about this because I have a feeling this guy might have been on his way to the church to commit this act. I don't know that to be the case. It's a guess, probably a fairly educated one. But troopers went to work again and, you know, putting their life on the line after all this. And there 2 people at the church were shot because he got away after the shootout and then wound up in the church before he was finally put down, as he should have been. Do you know any more about this? It was breaking earlier this afternoon.
I don't know any more about it at this moment. I know you know this, but I grew up in the state of Kentucky, right. And I used to go hunting. I used to go hunting with a Kentucky State Trooper all the time, and I can remember even then, that would have been the late 80s, even then, the threats he faced in eastern Kentucky particularly. Mm-hmm. And I love people in eastern Kentucky. I'm not putting them down. But, I mean, there are always threats that police face. So I just want to say God bless that trooper. I know he's in the hospital, but I think he's recovering, so God bless that trooper. And I could not be happier that shooter is dead. And as I expressed to you on the phone, I won't go into that detail, but I hope when they hit him in a non-vital area that somehow clipped an artery that lasted, let's say, 2 or 3 minutes before it burst, and that he was in agony when he died. And that's what we need. These heathens that run around just shooting innocent people, not even to mention the trooper, just shooting innocent people. They need to die a painful death, and they need to die a death we don't apologize for. I'm glad he's dead. I hope it hurt.
Couldn't have said it better, and I'm going to let that stand. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we refer to as a happy ending story on the program, not because the individual is dead, but because so many lives were saved because of the actions of whoever took the action to include deadly force in this case. It wouldn't have mattered. It's still a happy ending story whether he lived or died, either way, because he was stopped by someone else with a firearm. I don't want to stay on Kentucky for a minute with you because you wrote about this. And I talked last week about how stupid people are on social media. You know, this doctor in Texas that says, well, you know, the white kids, the Republicans got what they deserved in the flood and all this nonsense. You have an affinity for Texas. I know that. And when you see people go out on social media, which is very dangerous and destroying the psyche of this nation as far as I'm concerned, social media, ladies and gentlemen, you got a Kentucky school board chairman who had to resign over a Facebook post allegedly urging shoot Republicans. What's please tell me about this.
Yeah. Well, what I would like to say, but I'm not going to, but I'm going to say it by saying I wouldn't say it, is I would like to say to Jeffrey Miller, shoot me. Find me, Jeffrey Miller. That's how mad that made me. And what a little punk. You look at Jeffrey Miller's greasy head, and his glasses barely stay on his nose. Nothing fits. He's a typical leftist punk, and he's urging people who already lack self-control to, quote unquote, and let me say this, he's allegedly urging people to shoot Republicans. I'm just telling you, Jeffrey, here I am, you little punk. And I'm glad he got fired. And everyone who thinks and talks like him ought to be fired. And it's time. See what we've done. Somehow we got to a place, Mark, where we go, well, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion. When someone starts saying to shoot other people, we've passed the level of opinion, and we're in a place where they're inciting violence and danger. And he allegedly did that. So Jeffrey Miller, you greasy-headed little pig, here I am.
Yeah, I want to point out, too, that the doctor, the pediatric doctor in Texas was also fired as well. And it needs to be more than that. I'm glad they were fired, but they should be prosecuted for this because it is inciting violence. And they know it, But what fascinates me more, and we don't have time for this conversation, is what is it about social media that somehow brings this out in people? Because I'm going to tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, their real feelings are truly coming out when they're hiding, where they think they're hiding behind this keyboard. That otherwise incredibly intelligent people, you don't become a pediatric surgeon by being an idiot.
Can I say anything? Do I have any time?
You do. Go for it.
You know, I've talked to Mark privately, and I can't say it here, but I will tell you, Mark knows the kind of folks I grew up with, and I'm going to tell you right now, that greasy-head Jeff Miller, That's why it made me so mad, because he's a little punk on a keyboard typing out things, and he does not understand the kind of people he's up against. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. AWR, thank you for being here today. I appreciate it very much. I know you got a special day going on. I'll leave that alone, but happy anniversary. Congratulations. And we appreciate every single thing that you bring to the table here at Armed American Radio every single week for us. Ladies and gentlemen, that's AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News. It's real simple to follow him. Just Google or search DuckDuckGo, whatever it is you use in today's day and age. AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News, and you'll get the little link that says AWR Hawkins, author at Breitbart. You click on that link, and you'll get every single one of his stories in the order that he writes them and posts them, and he is doing God's work over there. And I can promise you, I know it firsthand, but he is up at the long before the crack of dawn writing on behalf of the Second Amendment and defending our freedoms. He is also one of the key speakers at the Gun Rights Policy Conference. So if you want to come out September 26th through the 28th, you will be able to shake laws with AWR Hawkins, myself, Alan Gottlieb, and many, many, many others. Armed American Radio's Monstercast continues 6 minutes after the break. We got a great lineup for you. We'll be back. Okay, guys, we're gonna we're gonna take a what's called a biology break here while we have a few minutes. Well, we will be back at 6 minutes after the hour for you. We'll be back on the live mic and camera for you before that. We'll keep the sausage going during the breaks for you as much as we possibly can. A lot of people like to watch that, and that's cool. I do too. In fact, I think what I'll do, because it doesn't go well over the radio, but on camera it does, on all of our social media platforms, I'll show you the range bag and the binoculars from the NRA that we're talking about, that if you want in on, you're going to have to get in on them quick, because I was told by the National Rifle Association on Friday, as late as Friday, that they are flying off the shelves. So if you want to join for $35, get the range bag. It's free. You might as well take it. We need you as a member of the National Rifle Association. Take advantage of that. And if you do, that's for the 1 to 3 year sign up. If you do the 5-year or life membership, which is the 5-year is $125, it's a great deal. The 3 year is a great deal at $85. The 1 year is a great deal at $35. I mean, you can find that in your couch. Okay, we need your help. And a life membership is $1,000. So you really want to put that in perspective, depending on your age. All right, do the math. And you don't ever have to donate ever again if you choose not to. We hope that you do, but you don't have to. Just being a member is huge, okay? So I'll show you that when we come back from this break. If not this one, I'll show it in the next break. We're going to be talking with Joe LoPorto from New Jersey, and then Stephen Gutowski from The Reload. We'll be back at 6 minutes after. Thanks for sticking around with us, guys. Got the mic back live for you guys. You said Joe is on hold now?
Yep.
Okay.
He says Jersey Firearms Syndicate.
Yeah. NJFOS.org. First time we've had a rep from them on. These guys in Jersey, man, got uphill climb. I have a feeling things might be changing in Jersey. If you're listening in New Jersey or watching in New Jersey, you guys might be headed in the right direction. Well, you know, if you're a member of these organizations, you're definitely helping head in the right direction, but you need some political change to really get there. Let me hold that range bag up. Hey guys, welcome back in here. We'll be live for you in about 3 minutes. Want to show you this range bag here. We're talking about joining the National Rifle Association or rejoining, whichever one it works, whichever one it is for you. Again, if you join for the 1 or 3 years, this is the range bag you're going to get right here. And mine's flattened up because I'm not using it right now because I want to show it to you, but it's got plenty of room in it, pouches for your mags, zipper pouch on the other side, shoulder strap, hand carry handles. So if you join for a 1 to 3 years, this is the range bag you're going to get right here. Cool stuff. And if you join for a 5-year or life membership, you're going to get this badass little thing here with the binoculars in it. And these things are super high quality, guys. These are 10 by 42. These things are not a toy, but these are really, really nice. There you go. There you are. I see you in there somewhere. And you're going to get those with the covers on them. Comes with the covers on both lenses. And comes with the case. That's for a 5-year or life membership. So take advantage of that free stuff. They have allocated this stuff specifically for Armed American Radio right now. And if you visit nra.org/AAR, you'll see it up there. You'll see the picture of both of these up there. And you can select your poison there, 1 year, 3 year, 5-year, or life. Take advantage of that, then select your magazine. And it's, like I said, $35 for 1 year, it's $85 for 3 years, and it's $125 for 5, I believe. That's the direction I went when I re-upped. I went for the 5 years, and it's $1,000 for a life membership. So pick your poison, take advantage of it, and one of you who gets these, because you're going to get it as long as we have them in stock, we'll notify you when we're out of stock. There are plenty now, but they are moving off the shelves pretty quick. We started with, I think, 720. And those are depleting quickly, obviously. So take advantage of that. And one of you, after they're depleted, is going to win a second range bag, completely different than this one, that's going to be filled with Armed American Radio swag. We'll be right back with you here. We're getting ready to go live in 30 seconds.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Kahr Firearms Group studio
At the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association.
National Rifle Association.
Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Hour 2 of Armed American Radio's Monster Cast begins right now. If you're rejoining us, welcome back. If you're just joining us, welcome to the program. Great to be with you. You are tuned in to the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100. Top 100, one of the top 100 radio show hosts and shows in America. We are just absolutely honored and thrilled by that recognition by Talkers Magazine. That is the Bible of talk radio, and that is a list that they will tell you is the best of the best, and we hit that list this year. And guys, we couldn't have done it without you. We're so proud of that. Kind of speechless there. And thank you. And thank all of you, our great affiliates. Thank you, our great listeners and viewers, and everybody who has supported this program for all of these years, now 17 years on the nation's airwaves. We appreciate it so much. Greg, we are live here in the Kahr Firearms Group studios on Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. You can watch us live over there. And I'll let you tell where everybody else can watch the program outside of Facebook and participate in the chat, and we'll get cracking with this second hour of Armed American Radio.
Yeah, sure. Other places you can watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters over there. On X, we're at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com. On the right side of that website, you can see that menu icon. Just hit that and select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, if you want to join our live chat, download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Thank you, Greg. And again, accolades to you. We could have never hit that without you. We appreciate everything that you do behind the scenes, man. We couldn't do it without you. Do an awesome job. Thank you so much. And everybody at Stay Home Radio Network behind the scenes, from the affiliate relations people, everybody. Just amazing stuff. So let's, now Joe LoPorto is coming to us from the New Jersey Firearms Owners Syndicate, NJFOS.org, ladies and gentlemen. Joe hasn't been on the program before, but he is the legal director of the Jersey Firearms Owners Syndicate. He is obviously a lawyer. He's a grassroots activist, and boy, New Jersey, uphill climb. Joe, welcome to the program for the first time. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on, Mark, and congratulations on making the Heavy 100. That's a hell of an accomplishment.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it very much. Well, guys, let me give you a quick background, Joe, and stop me if I'm missing anything here, or you can add to this. But the New Jersey Firearms Owners Syndicate, ladies and gentlemen, is a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. It's headed by a team of grassroots activists that have been at the tip of the spear of the fight for the New Jersey residents' Second Amendment rights for over a decade. NJFOS has right now, I think, over 3,000 members, if I'm not mistaken, and a long track record of supporting litigation at the state and federal level, has raised in excess of $100,000 for impact litigation. Prior to now, NJFOS has operated as an independent grassroots activism group and worked with other state and national organizations to coordinate and launch impact litigation efforts. In 2024, NJFOS took the steps to formally establish their own separate organization and relies, and we're going to let you know this, folks, relies solely on the support of public and private sponsors. Did I miss anything there, Joe? Clue me in. Now's your chance, bro.
No, that's it. Although, you know, I like to sort of describe our organization as, you know, we are officially now for the last year, we have been operating as an official nonprofit, a licensed nonprofit in the state of New Jersey. We are a 501c4, which makes us a little different from your typical public charity, but that gives us the flexibility to wage the war that we're fighting here on multiple fronts. As a C3, you're limited in the political arena, and we wanted to be able to engage in the complete sort of lineup of advocacy efforts. So a lot of the things that the big national organizations are doing, litigation and lobbying in our state legislature, we are doing all those things, you know, but we are at our core a pure grassroots activism group. You know, this is a thing that started on Facebook with just the imagination of our president, Mark Cheeseman, nearly 10 years ago. And as you said, I mean, our leaders on our board have been at the tip of the spear, fighting the fight deep behind enemy lines here in New Jersey for quite some time. And while we are doing all those traditional things, our sort of DNA is in the grassroots side of things. We're connecting and talking to gun owners every single day. We did just breach 4,000 members in our group, and we are communicating with those folks and talking and engaging with people every single day.
So you guys,
and that does make us a little different.
Yeah, and you know, because I've worked with other New Jersey groups as well. I've worked with Alexander Rubian for many years at NJ2AS and others. You know, I've often said this, Joe. You can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but a state like New Jersey counts its victories based on how few sucky things happen. And, you know, a victorious legislative session in New Jersey is, oh, thank God those 5 bills didn't make it to the governor's desk, right? We don't tend to see a lot of pro-gun positive things cross the governor's desk that get signed. In fact, none. I think it's 0. It's whatever they put across, we're 0. But, I get a sense that things are changing in New Jersey politically. I think Trump's election, and you correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm being a little bit overly optimistic here. I want to try to be overly optimistic. I know we have a lot of Jersey listeners. And I've been reminded over the years as well that what happens in New Jersey doesn't stay in New Jersey. And you mentioned it spot on. I just wrote it down, behind enemy lines, because you literally are behind enemy lines. Your governor is a rabid anti-gun hater, but he's termed out. You guys could see some positive changes coming up here. Is there a political change happening in New Jersey right before our eyes post-Trump round 2?
And we certainly think so. I mean, we felt a lot of energy in 2024. New Jersey was a big surprise in terms of national politics. Trump outperformed in this state by over 10 points and made it a low single-digit race in a state that's supposed to be this sort of deep blue haven. A lot of the curtains got pulled back in 2024, and this is a much more purple state than people think. And there is a reason to go on the offensive. As you say, I mean, you're counting your wins by blocking things. And this year alone, we had 10 bills get introduced in the spring this year, as they do every year. And we worked right alongside the NRA, lobbying on those 10 bills all the way through both the Assembly and the Senate. And we did, touch wood, we did get them to stall out before the summer recess. So we did get a little bit of a pause or reprieve on the legislation that they were trying to bring this year. And you'd call that a victory.
Right.
But we need to start going on the offense. And so that's a big part of what we're working on. And we understand, the sort of the bigger picture of New Jersey, and there's a reason to work hard. And you do want to count those defensive wins as victories, and they absolutely are.
Oh, there's no question.
We stole a piece of...
They are. There's absolutely no question about that.
Yeah, we stole a piece of legislation that is a major victory for gun owners. That's millions of dollars less in litigation funds that we have to expend to reel that back in. So every little tiny victory in Trenton, in our state capital, is a big win. But nonetheless, we should be going forward and facing forward and charging in the opposite direction at this point.
Yeah, we're doing that. I get that sense it's flipping. Flipping. I used to say it's going to be a generational shift. I would refer to New Jersey and California pretty much in unison, that it might be a generational shift in these states. And, look, I've been way wrong before. I was wrong in Illinois and had to eat my words and apologize when I said, Illinois, you're just not going to get the permit. Now Illinois has a permit, right? So things do change. And I hope, when we saw that drop to single digits in New Jersey, the first thing that came to my mind was, gun owners are really in a position now to go on offense. And that's the key. You're right. You can't keep playing defense, but you've had no choice in that state. And you also bring up something else that's very important, and that is it is a more purple state than most people think. Trenton, blue. North Jersey, blue. But you get up into way North Jersey, because I drive through that area when I come into Newark and then head up to the Kahr Firearms Group deal every year. It's Trumps everywhere up in far New Jersey before you get to that Pennsylvania border. And South Jersey also bright red. What are the odds that we're going to see that shift?
We think, based on early numbers, again, we're all looking for those little indicators that there's a reason to think you're going to see some polling. And it happens every year. Just for context, New Jersey is one of 2 states that runs their state elections in off years. So 2025, we have a major election this year. Our governor is up for election in 2025, along with Virginia. You'll see some spotty early polling that's going to show some big lead for the Democratic candidates. This year, Mikey Sherrill's the nominee, and she's in some polls polling as much as 15 or so points ahead of Jack Ciattarelli, who's the GOP challenger here. Well, that's not the way it played out in 2021, and there was a much bigger sort of headwind for the GOP in 2021. This year is a very different year. They were saying that Phil Murphy was ahead by over 20 points in this time of year in 2021. Jack Ciattarelli lost by 80,000 votes in 2021.
A remarkable transformation in New Jersey. The winds are changing, guys. When we come back, we'll talk about some of that impact litigation. We'll ask Joe, what in fact is impact litigation, and what can Jersey residents look forward to? Because working in conjunction with the Second Amendment Foundation and the NRA, there is some change afoot. We'll be right back to talk about it with Joe. Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to join the National Rifle Association. This show is being brought to you every single day, 6 days a week, on hundreds of radio stations across the nation, right now and Monday through Friday on the Daily Defense. Both shows continue to grow exponentially. Good heavens, and the National Rifle Association has stepped up and said, we want to partner with you. We want you to help us grow, and we are doing the right things right. And ladies and gentlemen, they are. You just heard Joe LoPorto. We're going to go back to Joe in just a second. Just heard him mention the work that they're doing with the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association now teaming up with the SAF, okay, New Jersey Firearms Owners Syndicate, NAGR. They're joining up with FPC. NRA is involved now in these states across the country, and we need your help to go from the 800-pound gorilla back up to the 1,000-pound gorilla. It's real simple to do. NRA.org/AAR. Support them, please, and you'll get that free cool range bag for a 1-year or 3-year membership renewal or new membership, doesn't matter. And if you do the 5-year to life membership, either one of those two, they're both great bargains. You're going to get those cool binoculars. I showed that during the break on camera for you. It doesn't go out well on the radio, but if you want to watch the show, you can see it. I'll do it again in another break. And you can find all of our great partners, including budsgunshop.com, your exclusive online retailer here at Armed American Radio. Buy a gun right now. Keep it for 30 days. If you don't like it, give it back. Pick something else. Nobody else does that. Bud's Gun Shop has everything you need. You need everything they have. Trust me on that one. budsgunshop.com. And we'll talk about more of our partners, but you can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. You're in the Kahr Firearms Group studios with me, and this is the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center microphone, and the phone I'm holding up for camera is a Patriot Mobile activated phone. You can do the same thing. Use the promo code AAR, patriotmobile.com/AAR, and get a free month over there and work with a business that supports your right to bear arms. They put their money where their mouth is, and they donate to all of these amazing organizations. Joe LoPorto, New Jersey Firearms Owners Syndicate, welcome back, brother. So, first off, what is impact litigation? Number one, you're the attorney. Explain that. And where are you involved? Because there's a lot going on. You guys are working closely with the CCR KBA. John Petrolino's been writing a lot about it in, I believe, Elizabethtown and other areas. What's happening in Jersey? Give us the lowdown, brother. The mic is yours.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a number of major challenges that are already working their way through various stages of the court. You know, we've got assault weapon ban cases, we've got magazine cases, all in various sort of stages. We have a whole litany of lawsuits that are underway regarding concealed carry restrictions. So there's a lot on the litigation front. Again, we're kind of like a behind enemy lines insurgency group here. So we're looking to be very laser focused on particular areas that are kind of overlooked at the moment. And our permitting project, I mean, we're working directly with the NRA in this, and it really kind of goes, this is as grassroots as it gets. You know, we partnered with Citizens Committee and Alan Gottlieb and the NRA, major organizations, national organizations, to bring these resolutions in municipalities across the state to provide for the rebate of excessive fees at the municipal level for permits to carry. New Jersey in 2022, in the wake of Bruin, sort of had their temper tantrum and threw up a whole bunch of, they went completely crazy. And alongside all of that, they increased the cost for a carry permit to $200. The way they structured it was $50 would get paid to the state and $150 would get paid directly to the municipality. Now, once the money's in the coffers, it's entirely up to the municipality as to what they do with it. So we went before Englishtown Mayor and Council about a month ago, and we got them to pass a resolution that would refund that money back to the applicant. But that was merely step one there. Along with our partners at ILA and at Citizens Committee, we have now been lobbying at the very, very local level. I have personally been appearing before mayor and council meetings all over the state to help bring this resolution in more places. There is a longer-term goal that's associated with this. There's a reason why big national groups have gotten involved with this, and it does tie to some of our future litigation goals. But this is just another example of some of the creative work that we can do on the ground here that would be a little too micro for some of the larger groups to really focus in on.
Yeah,
But
you had
but
mentioned,
we've
you said
gotten-
Englishtown. I said Elizabethtown, so it was Englishtown. I stand corrected on that. But we're beginning to see, correct me if I'm wrong, I sit on the board of the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, as you know. We're beginning to see this domino effect here, are we not? Am I phrasing that right?
Yeah. So Franklin, New Jersey passed the resolution about a week later. This week alone, 3 more municipalities are voting on it, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So in just a handful of weeks, we've gone from 1 to 5, and we think we go from 5 to 20 and 20 to 50 relatively quickly.
Is your governor pushing back? Are you hearing anything from Murphy? I know he's termed out. You got the weird off-year election in 2025. Is he silent on this, or is he pushing back?
Completely silent. This is flying completely under the radar.
Interesting.
Yeah. That no one's paying attention to this. It's an election year. This is very micro level. What these small municipalities do with their money is kind of up to them. We've seen very little a noticing of this effort on the other side. And frankly, we'd like to keep it that way and just keep rolling. In the long term, our goal is to make a clear statement that these fees are indeed exorbitant. And we think at some point in the future, there's going to be a court somewhere that's going to find that kind of information, let's just say persuasive.
Yeah,
so
I
there is a
think you're
bigger
right.
picture objective. I'll say that, the goal is not to get 500 municipalities across the state of New Jersey to enact it. It's to make the statement so that we can use that in a more robust way.
How is the Democrat acting as far as Second Amendment issues during the gubernatorial campaign? Is this coming up, not specifically this topic, but Second Amendment in general, guns, but it's always played a role in Jersey. Are they silent there too? Because if they are, that's very telling.
Well, they have been more silent. Now, Giffords just came out with their endorsement for Mikey Sherrill. And she has indeed taken some very, very anti-2A stances in her tenure in Congress. So we'll see how the rhetoric evolves. We endorsed Jack Ciattarelli. Alan Gottlieb endorsed Jack Ciattarelli. Will that come back in some way in the general election as the Democrats try to make a wedge issue out of it? We'll see. I think they're going to be quiet on it. I think there's nervousness in the Democratic Party right now, and I hope that continues.
Yeah, well, that's why I asked the question, because I agree with you. The fact when we see this on a national level unfold over the years, right? The Democrats, with the exception of the Trump campaign, the Democrats are generally very silent when it comes to gun control during a campaign because they do know it's a losing issue. They allow their minions behind the scenes, like Giffords and the rest of these organizations, to throw their weight around in Bloomberg's money, and then they get some sense of or of a little bit of plausible deniability there. But when that's happening in the state of New Jersey, that's indicative that there's a shift here. And I don't know what it is. I'm just getting that feeling, right? We've got 30 seconds left. I'm going to let you close out. Tell people where they can find you, where they can donate, where they can join. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to live there to help these guys, okay? Go ahead, Joe.
NJFOS.org, NJFO Syndicate on X, and please do follow us. If I've got 30 seconds, I just want to say one initiative that I'd like everyone to pay attention to. We are working hard to get petition signatures to free Tate Adamiak, who was wrongfully imprisoned by the ATF in 2022. Visit www.freedomfortate.org to find out more about that.
And as you know, I've been working closely with my partner, Lee the Gunwriter Williams, and bringing that case to everybody's attention every single time Lee writes about it, and he's done it about 18 times now. Joe LoPorto, thank you, brother. You're doing God's work. You've got our support. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back with Stephen Gutowski from The Reload. He's a great guest. I can't wait to get him back.
Sure.
I reached out to Petrolino today over at Bearing Arms, and he couldn't make it. Yeah, he's doing some cool stuff in Florida. He's doing a gator feeding thing overnight tonight down in Florida. I said, "Oh, don't break away from that, man. Have fun with that." I've done that before, man. That's pretty cool stuff. I don't know if he said the Alcatraz, alligator Alcatraz. He's somewhere in Central Florida, but those things are kind of cool to do, especially if you're from Jersey and have never done that before.
I've got my alligator Alcatraz shirt on.
So this is a fun one. I try to give the guys that do regular work on the program, because listeners, these guys come on this program and they do it on their own time, all of them. And they give us so much time, and they make the show so fun. You got fan favorites and regulars like AWR Hawkins and et cetera. It's very rare they miss shows. For 99% of the time, they're here. They've been here with me on holidays. We like to give them time off when that happens, but if they want to come on, that's fine. But I found a T-shirt that I had to get for AWR. It was fantastic, and it just said, on the back it said, "I hate Bloody Marys," and then below it in small print, and that was in big bold letters. And then right below it, it said, "Just kidding, could you imagine?" And I believe that's showing up at his house in the next couple days. I got word it shipped. It was a classic. I got to get one for myself, and I don't know why I didn't. It was a classic. I hate Bloody Marys. Just kidding, could you imagine?
Those are the best on like a Sunday morning after a hard Saturday night.
They're the best anytime. I love them.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. There's some really good ones. We have michelada stands here.
Oh my God, they're the best.
Yeah. I've got a buddy that stops at them frequently. I don't. I've been cutting down on beer, but
yeah, the older you get, the more bloated you get drinking beer.
Yes.
I had one earlier today because it was so hot out, and I was cooking today for my kids. My wife's out of town, and I cooked Greg, I told you, I'll tell listeners, but I made my wife said, well, the kids love like I said, she's out of town. And she said, the kids love my fried rice. I left her the recipe. I said, now I'll make a rice dish myself. So I did an authentic Cajun dirty rice. And that included, I didn't tell the kids this, might be telling them now, but that included the chicken livers in it. That's what makes it dirty. Oh, man, It was so good. And it wound up being a lot more than I thought. So I wound up having to use 2 pans for it when the rice cooked. But it was hot in there, man. And I drank, what was it? And I love this. So don't rag me, folks, but I love this because I also like PBRs from time to time. But I drank a Miller Lite. Miller Lite. Forgive me. I would never drink a Miller Lite. I hate Miller Lite. But it was a Miller High Life. The champagne of beers in a glass bottle. And it was so refreshing.
Steven on hold.
But boy, you put micheladas. Oh, good heavens.
Oh.
Love them.
These guys do wild stuff. They'll put shrimp and, you got all the vegetables and you got just, other meat hanging out. Like, sometimes they'll put a little brisket in there. It's wild.
Yeah, they'll do that in Texas. Here, it's a straight up michelada, and I like it with a Modelo or a Corona. Whew.
Yep.
Those things are so refreshing.
25.
They give them to you in a big 24 ounce. They say, you 24 ounce or 12 ounce? I'm like, please.
Tall or short?
Please.
There's no need for
Do
short.
I look like a rookie?
Yeah. It's
Man,
tall or short here. It don't matter.
You turn that thing up, and half of it's gone. It's so refreshing. Can't do but 2 of them with dinner. They'll bloat you up. Man, are they good. I guess they refer to them as a Mexican Bloody Mary, and it is.
They're great for lunch.
God, with clamato in it. Oh, man.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher wanting to let you know that the crew of the Desperado Sport Fish in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and the Second Amendment, and I'm right there with them. Now back to Mark Walters.
Yeah, Mike Gallagher, we appreciate that rejoin for a lot of different reasons. I've known Mike for many, many years. He's a great guy, and he's been on that Talkers Heavy 100 list for years in the top 20. So to even be on that list is remarkable, and we appreciate it so much. Thanks for the rejoin, Mike. Appreciate it very much. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Guys, you can listen to Mike Gallagher every day, 9 a.m. to noon Eastern Time, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Time. And he's my go-to guy when I listen to talk radio, which is very rare because I do it for a living. And I don't want to pick anything up through osmosis, so I stay away from it. But nonetheless, when there's major breaking stuff, I go to Mike Gallagher. Greg, you know that. I've been listening to Mike for years, and I've known him for just as many. He's a super guy. So welcome back, guys. Make sure to visit all of our partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. Heaven's Harvest, I think, has just a couple more days left on the 50% off on some of the meals that they have over there. So make sure to check them out, heavensharvest.com, heavensharvest.com. Don't forget ammosquared.com. I've been stacking ammo over there for, I guess, Greg, it's been close to a year now. Hard to believe. And I've got thousands of rounds over there. I've still not taken a shipment. And it's really fun to watch it grow. Every Wednesday, I get the email that says, you've got ammo. So I don't have it shipped. I just watch it grow. And every single week, ladies and gentlemen, I put $15 a week in, and my ammo is now in the thousands over there at ammosquared.com. Make sure to check them out. They're great people. Dan, that runs it over there, I think have gone down as one of the top 10 fastest growing companies in Idaho. Imagine that. And they've just opened up an operation in Texas as well. So make sure to check them out, ammosquared.com. And all of our partners, again, you can find them all at armedamericanradio.com or .org. And don't forget to join the National Rifle Association, NRA.org/AAR. Take advantage, get that range bag for free. And if for 1 to 3 year membership and 5 or life, you get the binoculars. Let's go to Stephen Gutowski, founder of The Reload. Stephen, how the heck are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Welcome to the program. Always fun to have you here, man. You know, you've been a go-to source for me for many, many years. You know that. Not to mention, we're good personal friends, and it's always fun to talk about Philadelphia cheesesteaks with you. And I found that place out in Philly, not Philly, but out in Arizona a couple months ago, and I sent you the photographs over there, and I think you were impressed. I know you were.
It looked good, yeah, I got to say.
Well, you can't, look, if you go to a Philly place, Stephen, and ask them for a Philly steak with Cheese Whiz, and they don't know what you're talking about, turn around and walk out, because that's the way a Philly cheesesteak is made, right? And you know that.
Absolutely.
And give me some scrapple with my eggs, too, okay? That's also another Philly. The only thing I wish they would give me is the soft pretzels in the brown bag, but I can't seem to find them anywhere, but nonetheless. So, Stephen, what in the world is going on? You have got more stuff over at The Reload than I can ever keep track of, and one of them is, and this is what I want to hit you with, but analysis from you guys at The Reload, and let me read the headline, folks. Legal experts see tough climb for new lawsuit against the National Firearms Act. To me, that's an open shut case without a tax. What are you digging up over here? Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, well, look, we talked to about half a dozen Second Amendment scholars from all different points of view. Including guys like David Kopel from the Independence Institute and Mark Smith from Four Boxes Diner, some very prominent Second Amendment supporting guys, and I think they all agreed with the basic idea that GOA and we haven't seen the other lawsuit yet from NRA and SAF and FPC.
That's coming.
And ASA. It's a big group, but similar press release. At least the argument has been similar. I mean, we'll see if they have some more creative, legal arguments once they get to court. But all these experts, including some of the ones who are not pro Second Amendment guys, but are knowledgeable in the area in the topic, they all seem to agree with the basic premise here that yes, because the tax is going to zero, it's no longer viable to call it an exercise of Congress's taxing power. There was a little bit of question on that because some parts of the NFA still have a tax, and so overall the law still collects revenue to a certain extent, and maybe a judge. It sort of depends on how a judge is going to view that, but they all seem to be pretty on board with the basic idea of this lawsuit.
So that means there'd be a split. That means a judge could say, okay, well, the tax actually is in place for machine guns because that's still part of the NFA because of the one big beautiful bill. That's one possibility, which, depending on the judge, would say, therefore, I'm going to continue to uphold the NFA because machine guns are still on it, regardless of whether suppressors and SBRs or AOWs, which are any other weapon, is now off. So that's an interesting take. That would be a split. I didn't think about that.
That is, it's sort of how the judge wants to look at the law. Because GOA, right, their suit, the text of their suit is zeroed in on just the sections that have the $0 tax, and they're not challenging the other sections. So even their lawsuit wouldn't strike down the whole law. But, it sort of depends on whether the judge, because the question, right, the argument becomes, well, if the tax is $0, it's not really a tax. Congress isn't trying to raise revenue with this, and therefore it's not an exercise of, Congress's enumerated taxing power. And so it's unconstitutional because that's what Congress said the power they said they were using when they passed the law. It's how the Supreme Court has upheld it in the past. And that's the basic premise of the lawsuit. And people were, they were on board with that. The bigger problem, though, I think, was, in the years since that first NFA suit that GOA points to, 1937 suit, that the Supreme Court has taken a much broader view of the Interstate Commerce Clause and Congress's power to regulate almost anything under that, basically. And that's where I think most of the experts, including like David Kopel, were skeptical that a judge wouldn't be amenable to the idea that even if it's not justified under the taxing power, it's still justified under the commerce power or maybe some other power too. It sort of depends on how the Department of Justice wants to frame the debate. If they defend the law, that's sort of another wild card.
Well, yeah, because we're talking about a Trump administration, not a Biden administration. You know, how are they going to respond? It's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to make a guess. I'm going to say that split. I could see the NFA staying with the machine guns in, and since the AOWs and the suppressors are pulled out, I can see us winning the lawsuit on that split. But, you know, crazier things have happened. It depends on the judge.
Fair. Yeah, and look, GOA, the gun rights groups that are filing these cases, they're not dumb. They know
where to go.
Courts are favorable. And so GOA is filing in the Fifth Circuit. Maybe the NRA, SAF suit also ends up in the Fifth Circuit, or maybe they'll try another circuit just to have a little variety, increase your odds, maybe go to the Eighth Circuit or something like that. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, you could certainly get a favorable judge who, as we described, all the experts agreed with the basic idea that this is probably not a tax anymore because it's $0 and it doesn't try to collect any revenue. In fact, there was an effort by Chris Murphy, the Democratic senator from Connecticut, big gun control guy, who, he tried to amend this provision to make the tax $1, probably for this exact reason.
Yeah.
Now, it didn't go anywhere. We got the $0 tax instead. But I think there is some vulnerability there. But again, it's more. This is still a tough hill to climb.
Yeah,
I think
it is.
At the end of the day,
that begs another question. Greg, how much? No, we were at 30 seconds. The timing was perfect. Stephen, I'm going to ask the question now. When we come back, we'll tackle it. And you're right, the big gun groups know what they're doing. They know where to go to file these lawsuits. The Second Amendment Foundation, NRA, and others, GOA, are no rookies in this field by any stretch. And it begs the question, would they file in an unfriendly circuit to create possibly a split which would hasten a Supreme Court decision? The reason I ask that question, ladies and gentlemen, not a Supreme Court decision, but a Supreme Court grant of cert, because short of legislation, this is going to have to be won in the courts. We'll get back in. We'll get into more detail of that with Stephen Gutowski when we come back, and then we're going to cover a couple other things, including back to California. Gavin Newsom says he supports the right to bear arms, and he likes his new California compliant SIG. Yeah, okay. We'll be right back with Stephen. Don't go away. You know that a self-defense incident can happen anytime. That's why you need Attorneys on Retainer. They're the only self-defense program backed by real attorneys who specialize in self-defense cases. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back. Yeah, welcome back, guys. You know, you need to do that. You really need to do that. If you carry a firearm like I do, please have some legal representation. It's $35 a month. I dare you to find an attorney after a self-defense incident for $35 a month. You're not going to find an attorney for $35 every 5 minutes, okay? And you do not want a free attorney at that point, folks, when you've got it all on the line. Attorneys on Retainer is right there for you right now at $35 a month. Use the AAR promo code, get $50 off. Sign up over there and get that rate of $35. I've got all my family members, and it's $25 a piece for each of us, and it is worth every single penny. Attorneysonretainer.us. This is one of those no-brainer things. If you carry a gun, just do it. It's one of those things, just, you know what? I got to do this. Just get it done. You will sleep better at night. Make sure to check out attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. Take advantage of the great deal that they have over there for you. We'll be talking with them over the course of the next week on the program. If not during the Daily Defense Monday, Tuesday, then at least next Sunday for sure. I've already confirmed that with Attorneys on Retainer earlier today because we had expected them to be on today, and I really wish they were, but that's okay. They'll be here next week. We love those guys over there. You will too, attorneysonretainer.us. You can find all our great partners at armedamericanradio.com or .org. Stephen Gutowski, welcome back. So I asked that question, you know, not really knowing what's going to happen there, but it would seem almost to be logical because there's a method to their madness with these lawsuits. These guys know what they're doing. Maybe create a circuit split right now. Let's go where we know we're going to lose. Let's go where we know in the Fifth Circuit where we stand a really high probability, 95% or better, of winning, and seek cert at the Supreme Court quickly on this. And, you know, quickly. How quick is quickly? We're looking at 2 years. This is going to be an after the midterm deal. You got a shift in Congress. You stand no chance legislatively. You know, Congress is still working in the House actively, as you know, on national reciprocity. There's still movements there. Trump will sign these bills. Yep. But golly, Stephen, you know, what are we up against? It's got to be the courts at this point.
Yeah, I mean, until you can get probably 60 votes in the Senate for
dream on for now
for the priorities. Yeah, for now it's a tough ride. You know, there have been points in the past where some of these bills have gotten 56, 58.
Yeah.
Even with, you know, even getting some Democratic votes. And if we get back to that scenario, or you get some more pro-gun senators in during the midterms, you know, that's it's always going to be hard when you don't have that 60 votes for anything, right? And on either side, and everybody it makes everyone upset. But that's the political reality as it stands today. And, you know, so the courts are another option. You know, it's possible they could try to do this circuit split, you know, intentionally, like you suggested. I would say two thoughts on that are just with DOJ is, you know, because there's another motivating factor, which is that DOJ has, and it's not necessarily a 100% bad thing, but for instance, the 18 to 20-year-old handgun sales ban got struck down in the Fifth Circuit, and the DOJ decided not to appeal that to the Supreme Court. Which is good for people in the Fifth Circuit, maybe a bad thing from a strategic standpoint. If you're a gun rights advocate, you might want to see the Supreme Court take that case. And so that's another thought. Like if you win, even if you win the Fifth Circuit, the DOJ doesn't appeal. It's kind of a limited victory.
Yeah, there's three states. There's no chance of getting a Supreme Court deal, but they're not stupid. Again, National Rifle Association involved in an 18 to 20-year-old ban down in Florida case right now that could move. Georgia, we lost that one.
Circuit.
Yeah, because that was a state case because we argued in the state of Georgia on state constitutional grounds, which made the state Supreme Court the law of the land, so it couldn't be appealed to the federal level. There was some nuance there, but that's the way that shook out. Yeah, so, you know, it's the thing about you trying to get 60 votes, even if you have 60 Republicans or enough to give 60 votes, there's no guarantee that a Murkowski or anybody else is going to vote because Republicans are great at snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. Or snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, I should say.
Right. And yeah, I think the 18 to 20-year-old stuff is sort of an analog to what you just mentioned, because the Fourth Circuit case the plaintiffs lost there. The gun rights plaintiffs lost, and so they get to appeal, and they are appealing that. So we have a circuit split, and it might end up as there's all the reason to think that's a good candidate for the Supreme Court because of it. So, you can look at that. The other thing I would say is, DOJ is a little bit more unpredictable, right, this time around than like the Biden DOJ, as far as where they're going to come down on some of these gun laws. We talked about last time I was on where they're more aggressive against the state laws than they are against the federal laws. And to that end, they have defended the NFA in court as constitutional. Even the revised briefing that they gave in the silencer case in the Fifth Circuit still said, at the end of the day, even though they argued silencers, suppressors enjoy some Second Amendment protections, they still argued that the NFA was constitutional because it was a more limited burden because the a tax and registration scheme. So, right now, if you're just looking at their track record, I would expect that they will defend the NFA. But you never know.
Well,
I mean, maybe they'll change their mind again. So
there's a method to the madness there that might be a little bit bigger than us. And I talked with Mark Smith from Four Boxes Diner on the program about that, and he was going through some of the nuance and some of the rationale behind that. But nonetheless, it's, you when you've got a DOJ right now, a lot of these cases were taken during the Biden administration. And this falls back to Trump's directive, right? To go back and look at these cases, which is why I think they're looking at the state issues. One of the things that frustrates me, you could see the federal government just tell the ATF, just don't enforce that right now, the NFA. Just don't enforce it. The problem with that is you get a new administration comes in, and guess what happens? They begin enforcing it. Now you've got people who have had silencers and suppressors that a next Democrat administration will turn into a felon literally overnight. So this has got to be codified either in the courts or by legislation. There is no other way to run. There's no end run around this. There's none.
Right. And my understanding is the ATF is making these things less of a priority.
Yeah, agreed.
At this point. So, but you're absolutely right as far as long-term goes. Either you get a lasting Supreme Court, hopefully, decision, or you get a law change, and everything else is more or less temporary. Obviously, you would hope, for instance, if enough suppressors get sold during this time period of $0 tax, maybe they become so popular that Democrats don't want to, sort of kick the hornet's nest sort of deal with them. At the end of it,
that might be wishful thinking, but I see where you're going with it.
It is. But that's just, if you're trying to look long term here, and about what's you can hope to convince that you get 60 votes in the Senate, or some people will want to blow up the filibuster for this, and that's obviously a point of view that's been out there for a little while.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't seem like a direction the Senate Republicans are going at this point. But so those are the options. Like, you hope to either persuade more senators to your position, or you can hope that maybe it becomes too politically disastrous to go after suppressors after this 4-year period here of for less restrained sales.
Well, you're going to be writing about it. We're going to be talking about it. You'll be on the program. We're going to hear you talking about it because you're a CNN contributor as well. So you go into the belly of that beast. Congratulations, and God bless you for doing that. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Gutowski, thereload.com. It's been a source of ours for a number of years, and I'm proud to say I'm one of the first 100 members, if not even less than that, over at The Reload, thereload.com, for serious, sober firearms reporting. You just heard Stephen. Guys, thanks, Stephen. We appreciate everything you do. When we come back, Roundtable continues. Don't go away. We'll be back top of the hour.
You just filled your prescription for freedom.
With Mark Walters.
Presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association. On the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, Roundtable coming up next. Thanks for sticking around. It's going to be a good one. We're going to rag on Newsom for a little bit. I can't wait to get the perspective on that audio from Gavin Newsom from from all the guys, from Brad and Ryan Petty, but particularly Justin Moon. I can't hear what he has to say about that. So, Greg, gear up. We're going to play that tape again of Gavin Newsom. And we didn't get to California with Steve, and I'm going to hold off on that one. It's somewhat of a complicated issue on that California deal. But just to put it in a nutshell, we spoke with Alan Gottlieb when the case was first filed a while back, and that was the Junior Sports Magazine Inc. v. Bonta. And that was the gun ad ban that California had put in place. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has clarified its stance following a previous ruling on California's firearm advertising restrictions after determining that a district court abused its discretion in issuing a preliminary injunction against the law. So the Second Amendment Foundation filed the case originally after California passed AB 2571 as part of a package of new gun restrictions, which allowed the state officials to levy a $25,000 civil fine. Remember, Gavin Newsom supports your right to bear arms. On firearm industry members, quoting, who advertised or even communicated about, quote, any firearms-related product if officials believe the messages made firearms appealing to minors. Now, keep in mind, you've got a lot of minors who shoot in sports, clubs, etc. Okay, so this was clearly aimed at dissuading young people from taking up the shooting sports. Why would Governor Newsom want to do that? It ain't because he supports your right to bear arms. It's because he wants to limit the amount of new shooters coming into the mix. Why? Because more new shooters means more gun sales. But, he says he supports your right to bear arms. He's a flat-out, bald-faced liar. But it's an interesting case, and it's something that I wanted to talk with Mr. Gottlieb about today. But he was not feeling well, so we'll have him on the show next week. All things, God willing, working. I'm sure he'll be fine. But we'll have Alan on to talk about this in detail because there's a lot of nuance with this case and what the Ninth Circuit is doing. And we have had some victories in the Ninth Circuit, or circus is what I like to refer to them as, over the past few weeks. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be here back at 6 minutes after the hour. Thanks for sticking around. Be right with you. Mics are live, Greg. When Greg doesn't respond, that means he's doing his job, folks. Means getting the roundtable guys lined up for you. Get the AC going in here for a minute because it gets hot in here.
All right, everybody's here.
See? Told you, ladies and gentlemen. That's what Greg's doing. He's working behind the scenes. See? See? Yeah, my All right, guys, coming back with you now with the Roundtable crew. Let's have some fun. I'm going to tell you an embarrassing story because I got broad shoulders. I can laugh at myself, but you'll find it fascinating.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Kahr Firearms Group studio
At the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association.
National Rifle Association.
Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
All right, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues on a Sunday for you here in the Kahr Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day in here. We are in front of the Patriot Mobile Command Center microphone at the Patriot Mobile Ranch in the Kahr Firearms Group studios, all being brought to you by the great National Rifle Association. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing? We officially open this week as a Talkers Heavy 100, one of the top 100 most important hosts and shows in America, as brought to you by Talkers Magazine, the Bible of talk radio, on that 30-year list. We are on it. And that is talk radio show host, speechless, man.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Very cool stuff. And we couldn't have done it without you. And ladies and gentlemen, we couldn't have done it without you. And we couldn't have done it without all of our great partners and all of our amazing affiliates around the country. And we just keep adding affiliates like crazy. And methinks that's going to really explode over the course of the next 6 months. So, guys, if you want to be heard, reach out to me. You can do that over at armedamericanradio.com, and we can make that happen. Greg, we're live on Facebook now for everybody, facebook.com/armedamericanradio, facebook.com/armedamericanradio. And I'll let you tell everybody where else they can watch the program on social media. We've got several hundred viewers over on Twitter right now. Should be several thousand. So, guys, like and share it. Get it out there. Repost it. We'd appreciate that. And, well, at least they're letting us be heard now. They kept us in the dark for a long time. So help us take our social media back, all right? It's very important. And you can tell people where to participate in the chat, and we'll go to the group.
Yeah, you can also watch the show over on YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters over there. Over at X, we are at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, and select that Watch Live or Listen Live option. You can also join our live chat by downloading Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversation.
That will do it. Let's go to Ryan Petty, Parkland father and good friend. Ryan Petty, welcome in, my brother. How are you?
Mark, great to be here. I'm doing well today.
It's a pleasure to have you here as always. Brad Premo, CEO of Lead Slingers. How you doing, brother?
Doing great, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing good. I want to give a little shout out. Now, you're not going to be here for the next 2 weeks. I want to point that out. So you'll be back in August with us, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, unless something bad happens, I'll be here in August.
No, that won't happen. I just want to let everybody know that you're going to be out for the next 2 weeks. So we'll find a filler for Brad, which is always hard to do, but we'll do the best that we can. And it's hard to believe, Brad, that August is 2 weeks away. Whew.
Yeah.
When you come back on the show, kids in this area where I live are going back to school, man. I mean, that means fall's coming. Good heavens. Anyway, we're going to miss you for those 2 weeks, and we look forward to bringing you back, and we appreciate you for being here right now. Justin Moon, CEO of Kahr Arms. How you doing, my brother?
Doing good, Mark. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, man. We have a lot of fun stuff to talk with you guys about. I'm going to start with this. I am going to go to Governor Gavin Newsom, and I've got a tape I'm going to play for you guys, which is going to be fun. I cannot wait to do that for you. But I want to tell you a funny story that happened to me last night. And it is a funny story, and it's kind of embarrassing, but hey, I don't mind laughing at myself. So I got very little sleep last night. For whatever reason, I just couldn't sleep. It was 2:30 in the morning, and I found myself thumbing through my phone, and I hate when that happens. For some reason, my body was just fighting going to sleep. And I started looking at some Facebook and some Instagram stuff. When I saw a Facebook post from my neighborhood community here, of which I'm a member of the neighborhood on Facebook. And there was a mention that they wanted to point out that just last night, there were 2 attempted break-ins, and we refer to those as hot burglaries, guys. Why were they hot? Because they occurred at 10 o'clock, and apparently somebody dressed in all black had attempted to kick in the front door of 2 homes, and the street they listed was the one that intersects me. And there's only 10 houses on it, and I know everybody that lives on that street. And I'm thinking, why didn't I hear this before? What in the world is going on? So that concerned me. So I came out to the studio and made sure the alarm was on, made sure the cameras were working, grabbed a few things that I didn't want anybody, should they break in, to be able to get their hands on, and made sure I was not only armed, as I always am, but very well armed. And it wasn't until about, right before I fell asleep, when I went back to comment on that post, that I saw that it was a post from 2016. So somehow I got this alert, but it was from many years ago, 9 years ago to be exact. And I thought, you know what? It doesn't really matter, does it? That's what I got to thinking. These are things I should be doing anyway, and I wasn't. Ryan, let me start with you. It was a huge eye-opener to me, a little bit embarrassing. My wife had a good laugh about it. The kids had a good laugh about it. But it was an eye-opener because it doesn't matter if it's 9 years. We all begin to fall into this trap. Yeah, it's not going to happen to me. Now, I don't really think like that, but I found myself thinking like that, I guess. And I thought, there are some things that I need to do to make sure that I don't keep thinking like that, Ryan. So it really doesn't matter that it was 9 years old. What matters is it was an eye-opener to me, and these are things we should all be thinking about. Correct, Ryan?
100%, Mark. And there's so many directions I could take this right now.
Take it.
We could
what
talk
the
about
Roundtable's for.
We could talk about Mark getting old and forgetful. We could talk about Mark needing new glasses. But
all of which is true.
What I want to congratulate you on, my friend, is your response time beats the non-emergency response of most local law enforcement agencies. So 9 years is pretty good on response time.
Okay, well, thanks. There's the cut down at the knees from Ryan Petty. Let's go over to Brad. Brad, it is just a reminder, isn't it, that and this I do remember when I got to thinking about it. Wow, now I remember when that happened. But it happened to 2 homes, about four homes down from me. And the reason I think it's even more important than not is because everybody was home. And Brad, you know as well as I do with your years in law enforcement, when somebody's trying to kick your door in at 10 o'clock, they are armed, brother, because they know that house is occupied.
Yeah, I mean, they're not coming by to sing you Christmas carols or anything like that. I mean, you know, what you're touching on, though, Mark, my first thought was, you know, it's a good example of how difficult it is to maintain the proper state of readiness without incidents, right? I mean, that was always one of the things they harped on, you know, when I was in Iraq. It's like, you know, just because we don't make contact today, tomorrow, doesn't mean you can let your guard down. And you go too long without having something happen, then it breeds complacency, and that's when you have to pay the price. You know, that's when the piper shows up to collect. And so, you know, the best way you can maintain readiness and right frame of mind is one, you know, going over things in your mind, always doing things, you know, the same way, the correct way, as far as checking your security, checking your locks, things like that, making sure your weapons are ready. But, you know, also training. You know, I mean, it's expensive and it's time consuming, but you know, you really can't say enough about just training to maintain that state of readiness that you need. So when it does happen, because you know you're not going to find out on Facebook that someone's trying to kick your door in. The big bad wolf is going to show up when you're sitting there watching the news, when you're laying down in bed, when you're doing something other than being ready for them. So, you know, that's the first thought I had. Is just, you know, it's very difficult to stay ready, but it's a challenge that you have to meet, because when you don't, you end up paying a price.
Yeah, that's a great point, Justin. I'm always ready, more so than the average bear, boo-boo. Okay, and I just played right into Ryan Petty's old hands with that statement, but no doubt. But yeah, I'm more prepared, I think, than the average bear. I would like to think so, simply because of what I do and what I talk about every single day. But Justin, talk about a big eye-opener. I felt a little bit of complacency that I wasn't doing some of the things I should have been doing, and it was an eye-opener. I want to point out that one of your firearms was in my hand and next to me when I went out and did what I did. So thank you for that. Justin, take it away.
Well, thank you, Mark, for your confession. But
it's true. It's a confession. It really is.
But, you know, it's really true, because carrying firearms, you know, in order to be safe with a firearm, you have to do a ritual every day. You have to follow those rules of gun safety. You have to make sure it's pointed in a safe direction. You have to be absolutely certain the chamber is clear. And, you know, the magazine is unloaded and removed from the gun. It's a ritual you got to do whenever you carry a gun, or whenever you think of putting a gun on yourself. And, you know, a morning ritual, if you're a daily carrier, you're going to have your morning ritual, you know, laying out the items you carry every day, making sure that you secure them. And then you follow your pattern for how you're going to get to your vehicle, and how you're going to get out of your house, and what you're going to leave behind, and who's going to be responsible for what. That mindset, it's almost like a religious mindset. If you're going to be an armed citizen, you got to get some religion, Mark.
It becomes, and I go back to the old Clint Smith. I believe it was Clint Smith. I mentioned this on the Daily Defense last week, but pants on, gun on, right? Clint used to say, pants on, gun on, right? Everybody, pants on, gun on. You get up in the morning, you put your pants on, you put your gun on. It's that simple. And you have to remember everything that Justin just told you. We'll be back. We're going to go to Gavin Newsom next. You got that Newsom tape ready again?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I can't wait to hear some of the response on these guys. This is going to be a funny
Yeah.
segment. This is going to be funny, guys. Yeah. I'm going to guess Brad might even be funnier than Justin on this. They're all going to be good. But Brad might stretch it a little bit further. Segments are flying by. This hour is going to whip right by. Guys, buckle in. This hour is going to cruise. And I'll tell you, even at 10:20 on the Eastern Coast, Eastern time zone, man, it gets hot in here. Are we at 30 yet?
Almost.
All right.
Slow break. 30.
Yeah, it's moving pretty good in my book. Could be that sugar-free Red Bull that I'm going to pay for again tonight.
Paid for them when you bought them and paying for them when you drink them.
Ain't that a fact? They ought to be advertising. Hey, there's a thought. The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day. Today on the Sunday show, we're here in the Kahr Firearms Group studios with you at the Patriot Mobile Command Center on the Patriot Mobile Command microphone. It's all being brought to you by the NRA. And if you're watching the show, I'm going to hold this up. Here's the binoculars that you're going to get if you do a 5-year or life membership. And here's that range bag you're going to get. Let me see if I can do this without knocking anything over here in the studio. But here's the range bag that you're going to get. Real nice for a 1-year or 3-year membership, if you can see that. I'm holding that up for you. So take advantage of free stuff, guys. Free stuff is always cool. Nothing wrong with free stuff. And the National Rifle Association's got you covered. NRA.org/AAR. Join or rejoin. 1 year to 3 year, get you the range bag until they're gone. And we started out with 720. I'll check tomorrow and see how many we have left, but they're flying off the shelves. So take advantage of it quickly. And and then the 5-year to life membership, either one of those two separate. 5 years is a great deal, by the way, at $125. And you get the binoculars, the 10x42 binoculars, and they are super high quality. You will enjoy them. They come with the case and covers, the lens covers, and everything else. So take advantage of the free stuff that the National Rifle Association is offering. It's a $35 membership for 1 year. You can do that and help us. You've been listening to the program. NRA is deeply involved in most every one of these cases that we've been talking about today with all of our great guests. So make sure to check them out. And all of our great partners, including attorneys on retainer.us/AAR. Patriot Mobile. Activate a phone over there and get a free month like I've done on 2 of my phones. You can do the same thing. PatriotMobile.com/AAR. And if you want to carry, we're hearing Justin talking about your everyday carry stuff, Emerson Knife goes right in my pocket every single day. EmersonKnives.com. Use the AAR promo code. Get 10% off over there on a great Emerson Knife product. Welcome back in, guys. Ryan Petty, let's go to you. We're going to play a tape, and I'll start with you first. But the Daily Wire had a fascinating piece up 2 days ago. Not anti-gun at all. Newsom's latest attempt to disguise his rampant leftism. Now, I've been waiting for this segment for you guys. I can't wait to hear your input. But in his latest attempt, quoting from the Daily Wire, in his latest attempt to disguise his immeasurable leftism, California Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom insisted that he was, quote, not anti-gun at all after being given a gun by former Navy SEAL Sean Ryan on the Veterans Podcast. California Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom insisted that he was not anti-gun at all. Now, the gun was a California-compliant 6-hour P365X macro, which I have, okay, and I like that gun. I've got lots of guns that I carry. That's one of them. And Newsom responded, the last thing people would expect is that I respect this gift. Greg, let's play the tape for our panel, and then we'll go around the clock, around the horn with these guys, starting with Ryan. Go ahead.
Last thing people would expect is that I respect this gift.
Ready for this?
This is an accident. I got to report this gift, man.
That is a California compliant 6-hour P365 macro.
This is too cool. The fact that you would give me this. You just want TSA to take this from me and not the airport. I'm on to you, man.
I got a buddy at SIG, and he was like, you got to get a SIG in his hand. Jason.
Brother, this is fabulous. I'm not anti-gun at all. I'm for just some gun safety, common sense. I'm challenged by large capacity magazine clips in urban centers, weapons of war, sometimes outgunning the police. But otherwise, man, people have the right to bear arms, and I've got no ideological opposition to that at all.
Ryan, look, first of all, the gun he was talking about Jason Wright over at SIG, by the way, is who Sean was referring to, one of their marketing guys. I've known Jason a while. He's a great guy. But he mentioned, first off, that it was California compliant. So there's part of the red flag that goes up right there. Ryan, take it away. Have at it. Have some fun. Just be FCC compliant, please.
Oh, it's hard. It's hard. You're asking a lot here. What a absolute gas bag Gavin Newsom is to come on and gaslight us, and just. Unforgivable. Look, I'm very frustrated that this guy got platformed. I have a ton of respect for Sean Ryan and everything he does. I'm not a veteran, so I can't even comment on his military service, but I enjoy his show and have enjoyed his show. And he's been one of the first ones to. I know Brad and I have talked about Sarah Adams. He's one that has had Sarah Adams on a number of times, and really important stuff Sean's doing. But to give this gas bag airtime is more than almost more than I can communicate in an FCC friendly format. I will tell you that Gavin Newsom will lie and say whatever he needs to say to be liked by whoever he's with, whatever room he's in. This is the man that's sponsoring the 28th Amendment to the Constitution, which would radically alter the Second Amendment. And for him for a moment to say that he's not anti-Second Amendment is just a bunch of garbage. I don't know why Sean Ryan's platforming this guy. We should be mocking him, not giving him airtime.
And that's what we do here on the show, and that's why we're doing it. And I did mention in the previous segment, Brad, coming up to you, it almost makes me want to have Gavin Newsom on the program, because it would be really fun to checkmate him by asking him a series of questions that I already know the answer to, that when he is done answering the questions, he will have checkmated himself. It will not be hard to embarrass the man at all. And guys, I'm going to play that one more time for you, not right now, but when we're done. And I want you to listen when I play it again. I'll just throw this out there now before I do it. And Brad, will go to you right now. But I want you to listen not to what he's saying, but I want you to listen to how he's saying it, and the smoothness and the greasiness. We'll do that in just a minute. Brad, your thoughts when you hear that garbage from him?
I mean, first of all, anytime someone says I support the Second Amendment, but what that means, they don't actually support the Second Amendment, because there is no but when it comes to supporting the right to keep and bear arms. I mean, it is an absolute right, and the Second Amendment's pretty clear, in my opinion, of the opinion of anybody else that can read. It's pretty clear and pretty simple to understand. I'm kind of with Ryan on this one. I was pretty shocked, or maybe not shocked, but I guess curious as to why Sean Ryan would have him on the show, because you mentioned you'd like to get Gavin Newsom on here and checkmate him, but Gavin Newsom would never, ever come on a show like this.
That's right.
He would
It'd be
not
fun
come
to
on.
ask.
He wouldn't do it. Right, but that also tells me though that he would go on Sean Ryan because he knew he wasn't going to get put in a tough position.
Ooh, that's a great
point. Like that's what bothers me the most about it. So I'm not really sure what Sean was thinking. If he just got starstruck somehow, maybe Newsom's people reached out because he's making an effort lately to try to appear a lot more moderate and speak and sit down with some conservative voices. I think he sat down with Charlie Kirk a while back, but this is all him setting himself up to run for president. Let's be honest. So he's trying to moderate his image and appeal to more moderate voters. I don't think it's going to work, but that's what he's doing. He's a politician. He's a chameleon, and he's going to shape shift however he has to. But he's also a communist, so it's going to be a wolf in sheep's clothing when he tries to come across as being moderate, and people need to remember that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. And Justin, we're getting ready to take a break. When we come back, I have an extra special question about this for you from the gun aspect, in addition to the questions that we just talked with Ryan and with Brad about. And then after we talk with Justin about this and hear his response, which will be fascinating, I can promise you that right up front, we're going to play it again. As I said, I don't want you to listen to what he said. I want you to listen to how he said it. And you'll understand what we're talking about when we call him a gas bag and why he is such a dangerous politician. Then I'll tell you why Sean Ryan actually had him on the show. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away. It's pretty easy to understand why Sean had him on the show. Because shows like this are talking about him, because it's clicks, because it's views. That's why he had him on the show. Golly, it gets hot in here fast, bro. Even at 10:30 p.m. Buckle in, ladies and gentlemen. This show is going to whip right by. Say that again.
Gavin Newsom couldn't even say common sense gun safety. It was all jumbled when he said it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was because he was feeling the pressure of the situation and kind of just misspoke, which happens. But it sounds stupid.
Yeah. Anybody that knows anything about Gavin Newsom understands exactly what you just said. Problem is, a lot of people who don't, they hear him, and he comes across as polished and a nice guy, somebody you'd love to have a beer with or something. He seems very personable. He is one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous politician in America today for the Democrats on their side. I'll stand by that all day long.
But it's this part. Hold on.
I'm for just some gun safe common sense.
Gun safe common sense.
Right. What's kind of funny, you don't hear anybody would say magazine, right?
Clip.
Yeah, but magazine.
Yeah.
I like that. Nobody emphasizes that. Maybe we'll do that today. Thought about that when we were listening. God, I want to pick up this Gibson SG behind me so bad, but it's too late to crank it, and I don't like playing it at a low volume. But I'm going to have to after the show. Guys, I'd love to play it for you on the air, but it'd get us kicked off our social media platforms for copyright infringement. Not if I was just playing some riffs, but I can't take that chance. You just never know. And they'll yank you, and they're always looking for a reason. On the internet, you don't even get the fair use of 30 seconds. They'll bang you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sebastian Gorka, letting you know that the Desperado Sport Fishing Crew in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and our right to bear arms. Now, back to Mark Walters.
Oh, and ladies and gentlemen, they do, because I have tossed lead off the back of that beautiful Desperado boat a number of years ago. Great stuff, great people. We appreciate all of our partners, every single one of them. They're just a supporter of the show, and they've been supporting the program for years. Desperado Sportfish. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Welcome back to the Kahr Firearms Group Studios. Mark Walters in front of the Patriot Mobile Command Center microphone, and it's all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Again, please visit all of our great partners. Bud's Gun Shop, I want to point out again, has a 30-day gig going on right now, our exclusive online retailer. You buy a gun at Bud's Gun Shop, keep it for 30 days. If you don't like it, send it back. Get a new one. It's that simple. Nobody else will work with you like that. Use it, play with it, sleep with it, do whatever you want to do with it. If you don't like it, it doesn't fit you for whatever reason, send it back. No questions asked. Check out another one. Same 30-day gig applies until you get what you want. Methinks you'll probably like what you get the first go-around. That's why you bought it, particularly if you're an educated listener of this program. But nonetheless, they offer it. BudsGunShop.com. They've got something for you. If you are a shooter, no matter what you want, they have it. BudsGunShop.com. Make sure to check them out. If you ever call them, make sure to tell them that we sent you at AAR. They're great friends of the program. Justin Moon, Kahr Firearms Group Studios lit up, CEO of Kahr Arms. Let's go to you with the Gavin Newsom deal, but I want to throw a little bit of a monkey wrench into you because you're the CEO of the manufacturer. Would you want one of your guns being given to Gavin Newsom like that?
I mean, Gavin Newsom. Yeah, he's a. I don't like the guy much. I want him having one of my guns. That's not an endorsement.
Yeah, but, it's not, is it? It really is not. That's what I'm asking you. Is that an endorsement? I don't see that as an endorsement. To me, it's clownish.
Well, if you saw that clip from Sean Ryan's show, I mean, the guy is a smooth liar. You can see why he climbed top of the Democratic, cesspile heap. I mean, the guy looks at you straight faced, and he lies like a paid actor. It's very characteristic of what a Democrat is. I mean, whatever they tell you, they'll never tell you the truth. The only thing that they're truthfully saying is that basically about guns is it's guns for me and not for thee, right?
Well, that's true. And Gavin Newsom, what he didn't say, Ryan Petty, is that he is protected by lots of guns in California. Now, I don't know, this just came to mind, but I don't know, guys, Ryan, I'll go to you first. I don't know that I've ever seen any video clips of Gavin Newsom shooting. Have you? Am I missing something? And you started off with my age. Have I forgotten that over the last 17 years? I don't recall ever seeing that.
No, Mark, your memory's solid on this one. Look, Gavin,
okay, good.
Gavin will be, trust me, Gavin will be out in the camouflage or orange hunting gear with the shotgun just the moment he announces his run for president. It's just a matter of time before we see the hunting videos of Gavin Newsom. And he'll talk about his long-term love of hunting, how he used to go out with his father hunting and family, and it's been a tradition in his household for years. He'll make up a complete false narrative just weeks after he signs up to run for president.
I think you're going to agree with my statement, and I'll ask this around the table. And I am going to play the clip again one more time, ladies and gentlemen, because I want you to not pay attention to the words he's using, but listen to the way he says it. And it's what makes Gavin Newsom so dangerous. But before I do that, well, you know what, Greg? Let's just do that first. Let's go ahead and play this clip again, guys. Pay very careful attention to how he says what he says, and think about what you just heard from Justin.
That I respect this gift.
Ready for this?
This is an actual. I got to report this gift, man.
That is a California compliant 6-hour P365 macro.
This is too cool. The fact that you would give me this. You just want TSA to take this from me and not the airport. I'm on to you, man.
I got a buddy at SIG, and he was like, he got to get a SIG in his hand.
Make this up.
Jason.
Brother, this is fabulous. I'm not anti-gun at all. I'm for just some gun safe common sense. I'm challenged by large capacity magazine clips in urban centers, weapons of war, sometimes outgunning the police. But otherwise, man, people have the right to bear arms, and I've got no ideological opposition to that at all.
All right. So, I don't want to focus on what he said, just the way he said it, the smoothness and the greasiness with which he said that. And, Brad, that brings me to my next question. As 2A supporters, all right, look, we've been hosting the show here for 17 years. I found out from a judge when I sued OpenAI in court that apparently I'm a fairly well-known gun rights activist with a lot of listeners. And as a result of that, I can tell you that what you just heard from Gavin Newsom was absolutely a declaration that he is running for president. That's why he's even talking about the Second Amendment in any positive light at all, even with his horrific track record, Brad. Is that proof positive to you like it is to me that he is definitely running for president after hearing that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's a foregone conclusion even before that. Again, I mean, what he's doing is he's prepping the battlefield. He's going after the areas that he knows that he's weak in and trying to shore up those areas. And again, I'm just gonna. I don't know why Sean Ryan gave him that chance, but he did. And so.
Well, let me answer
what he's doing, though, prepping the battlefield.
Let me answer that. It's likely, and I could be wrong on this. It's likely. Look, we're talking about it on hundreds of radio stations right now. Sean Ryan's going to get clicks. People are going to go in and want to listen to that whole interview. Sean Ryan did it because he's getting attention for it, and it's clicks and it's viewers and everything else, and that's what's driving him. And I have no doubt that that's why he did it. Look, if I were to put Gavin Newsom on this program, if he were to agree to come on this show, which I don't think he would do because he doesn't have the guts, because it would not be hard to checkmate him. It would be hard to get him to stay on track, but I control the mics and can cut him right off, and I would do that. And there's a way to ask certain questions as the host of the show to lead him down a road that you want him to go. And that's just by burying him with simple yes or no questions that he's going to have to answer. Did you do this? Yes. Did you do this? Well, no. Did you do it? And if he tries to pontificate, you cut his mic. Okay? And you read exactly what he did and then try to give him another opportunity. He can checkmate himself. So, there's all of that in play. But I can promise you, if we put a press release out that Gavin Newsom was going to be on the show, you're going to have a lot more listeners on that particular show and a lot more media paying attention to what he's saying. Justin, you know that. Was this proof positive to you that he's absolutely going to run in 2028?
I think he's definitely putting his feelers out for the 2028 campaign. I mean, if he does Joe Rogan, he's going to be running, right?
Well, you make a great point there. And the problem with a guy like Gavin Newsom is we know what he's up to here. We've been nailing this guy to the wall on his anti-gun stance since he's been there publicly. We've been there a lot longer than he has as far as governor. But I want to make it very clear that there are millions of Americans who are not as plugged in, Ryan, to what Gavin Newsom is all about. Now, mainly, I'm going to tell you that the listeners to this program, as I'm sure you'll agree, are definitely more plugged in than the average bear, boo-boo, okay? However, there's millions of Americans that are not, and when they hear statements like that coming from him, as smooth and greasy as he is, and I got to hand it to him, he's a hell of a communicator. He comes across as a guy you'd love to sit down and have a beer with. He comes across as a super nice guy. Trump will tell you, he's a super nice guy. He's just terrible at what he does. But that's the danger of a guy like Gavin Newsom when, as Justin and I have said for years, that he can look at the camera at midnight, tell you it's at 12 o'clock midnight tell you the sun is shining, there's going to be people that believe him. Ryan, you got 30 seconds. Take us to the break.
In that regard, Mark, I don't see him as any different than almost any other national Democrat on the stage. They all get up and lie. They all get up and lie smoothly. They all get up. It could be 6 a.m. and they'll tell you it's 6 p.m. and they'll make you believe it, or they'll make you think they believe it. In that regard, Gavin Newsom is no different than any other national Democrat in my mind. I'm frustrated that we're platforming this guy and giving him ammunition, pun intended, for those low information voters.
He is absolutely the best gaslighter out there. What you just described is the absolute definition of gaslighting, and Gavin Newsom's picture is right there with the definition. We'll be back. One more segment to go. We're going to go to the Epstein files just for kicks. Don't go away. I see in the chat Martin's got fixins for another batch of Mark smoked meatloaf. Tomorrow's only supposed to creep into the low 70s. Wow. Instead of today's low 90s, which even in the 90s out there where you're at, Martin, is comfortable. More comfortable than it is out here. But nonetheless, 70s, man, I'd be smoking meatloaf like crazy too. Have at it, brother. Grill hard, bro.
$20.
Roger that. This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back. Yeah, guys, ask yourself this question. Why wouldn't you do that? Honestly. If you carry one of these, why wouldn't you do that? Honestly. When you think about that, you'll think, I probably should. And yeah, you probably should. In fact, not probably, you should. I pulled a firearm in 2002. Thank God I didn't have to pull the trigger. But I didn't have any protection at all. I had no lawyer behind me whatsoever. If there was an investigation, I would have been screwed. And if I had been charged with something, God forbid, highly unlikely where I was in Hillsborough County, Florida, because I was well within Florida law. I spoke to a number of deputies after that and others. However, that doesn't mean that an overzealous prosecutor, who at the time, but believe it or not, was Pam Bondi, we're going to talk about her in a moment, may not have decided, well, you know, it's an election year and I need a conviction. You don't want to be in that position. And if you do find yourself in that position and don't have support, it's going to cost you and can cost you literally everything. You do not want to find yourself in that position. You don't have to now. It's $35 a month to have an attorney and attorney-client privilege. It is absolutely one of the most no-brainer things that you can do in advance of something that might happen. Okay, guys? Make sure to check this out at attorneysonretainer.us. Hundreds of lawsuits. All they do is focus on your self-defense law. That's it. They have defended hundreds, and they're now in bed with Kayla Giles, metaphorically speaking, and working on her case since the Louisiana State Supreme Court vacated her conviction, okay? And I can promise you how that's going to turn out, the way it should have turned out 3 to 4 years ago. You mark my word. Welcome back. Let's get cracking. I think, Ryan, we closed out with you. I want to go to Bondi and Bongino, and I want to go to the Epstein files. And, guys, I'm going to throw something out that might be controversial, and I can't wait to hear your response. I'm going to tell you right now, the more I think about this and the more I watch this unfold, I don't think there is an Epstein list. I don't think it's there. Because if it was there and Trump were on it, the Democrats would have absolutely 100,000% have used it during the campaign. They would not have sat on it. They would not have waited until Donald Trump got elected. For crying out loud, they tried to kill the man twice that we know of, possibly 3. They've thrown everything at him. They did convict him on 34 cases we all know to be bunk. Brad, I want to start with you. It is it's open for change, but at this point right now, Pam Bondi has proven herself time after time after time to get out ahead of her skis. Here's my question to you. Is it possible that Bondi, and let's just be fair here, got caught up in all the right-wing media? Let's be fair here. It's not just left-wing. There's right-wing media. And all the conspiracy theories and everything swirling around about Epstein, and we've all been there, and realized when it was all said and done, there is no list. And now they look like idiots because they got caught up in that conspiracy stuff. And that's why Bongino is so pissed right now. Because I'm telling you, Brad, disagree with me, whatever, take me to task on this. If there was a list and Trump were anywhere near it, they'd have used it. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I definitely agree with that part of it. I mean, I don't know if there's a list or not, but I am fairly certain that if Donald Trump was on that list, they would have had it every billboard and TV and everything else they could have put it on. They wouldn't have just sat on that. That's for sure. But the problem that's happened, and I don't know if Bonnie just kind of got too big for her britches or what, but the whole thing has just kind of become radioactive now.
Right.
It's become divisive. You have especially on social media, some right wing people normally pretty reliable that are now almost anti-Trump because they're not getting their Epstein list, and it's like they're acting like children about it, as if they're getting cheated out of a Christmas present or something. You had the whole thing with some of those other charlatans that were at the White House, Rogan O'Hanley, and those holding up his binder with the Epstein files. It was all just stuff we'd already seen before. I mean, the whole thing has just become radioactive and almost not worth the trouble. So, I think I'll just go ahead and, release whatever they have, but, they may need to admit that, hey, you know what, there's not. The problem is when they say there's not as much here as we thought there was going to be. They just get accused of lying and covering up, and it's just
that's what's
it's
happening
a mess
now.
Right, it's been mismanaged completely.
Yeah, and Justin, I don't know. I don't know if there's a list or not. I'm just saying at this stage of the game, with what we're seeing come out, and if we give people the benefit of the doubt, which is very dangerous to do when you're talking about Washington and you're talking about presidential appointees and you're talking about politicians, that's always a dangerous game to play. But if there's no question, I think it would have been out. Or at least like Brad said, if Trump were anywhere near it, which the Democrats have accused, the conspiracies run on both sides here. And this is where we get caught up. Did Bondi get out ahead of her skis on this to the point that it's now a national embarrassment? Trump put out a Truth Social yesterday going, why are we still talking about this guy? And that's causing people to go nuts. Well, no, not just because of the Democrats, that just proves he's on a list. No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because as we just said, if he was on a list, they would have used it against him. So I don't know. I want your thoughts on it.
Well, there's so much evidence that Epstein did engage in
no doubt
traffic young women to powerful people
no
for
doubt
favor, and there's no question that he did blackmail some of them. I mean, even the New York Times did a story on Bill Gates and how he was blackmailed by Epstein for his relationship with that Russian young lady. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the evidence is everywhere. To say that the Epstein link doesn't exist, that's gaslighting. And is Trump on the list? I think absolutely not. I mean, he's the first one. He basically told the prosecutors when Epstein was arrested and charged and convicted for the first time that Epstein was a pedophile.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think this stinks to high heaven.
It stinks.
It just smells like a cover-up. It smells like Epstein is either a CIA asset or a Mossad asset or somewhere in between. But, yeah, this stinks to high heaven.
Oh, there's no doubt.
There is an operation. You know what this reminds me of? You know the Lord of the Rings movie where Frodo, that after they defeat the Dark Lord the first time, the king picks up the ring, and then that elf guy tells him to throw it into the fires of Mount Doom and destroy it, and he's like, "No, this is mine. This is precious to me." That's what it seems.
30.
Yeah. No, I think you are, again, as far as my cousin Vinny, you are dead on, blank, accurate. I don't think I can't dispute anything you just said, which is why I asked that question. At this stage of the game, guys, it's like UFOs, man. I don't know that we'll ever know at this point, Ryan. 20 seconds. Go ahead.
Look, Pam Bondi may not know, but I think Ghislaine Maxwell has the list, and we ought to hear it from her. But yeah, no, regardless, what that man did is absolutely disgusting, and we need names. We need to know who was involved in that, and we need to protect children across the country from that kind of crap happening again.
If you're trafficking somebody, you're trafficking them to somebody, folks. But was Epstein stupid enough to have? Who knows? Who knows? Everything about this rots from high heaven. But it's an interesting question to ask, and unfortunately, guys, we're probably never going to get an answer, at least one that we believe. It's going to be more like a Warren Commission report. Are we ever going to believe the Lee Harvey Oswald gig at this stage of the game? The government's great at spinning things to the point you don't even know what's true anymore, sadly, and that's too bad. Guys, we're going to get up and do it again tomorrow because they don't want us to. Thank you, Ryan, for being here. Thank you, Justin, always fan favorite for a reason. Thank you, Brad, for being here. Join the National Rifle Association. Get yourself an attorney. Check out all of our partners. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters. Presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, thanks for being here. Fun show today. Always fun. Love our Sundays, man. And thanks for being here. We appreciate it very much. We couldn't be here without you, couldn't be here without our affiliates and all of our great partners. So please go out of your way, support them. We ask that you do that If you want another 17 years of AAR, that's what you got to do. And we need your support. As I mentioned at the beginning of the program, we're an independently owned show. We are not owned by a big network. And 17 years is quite a feat, especially when we were able to hit that Talkers Heavy 100. And it's all because of you. So thank each and every one of you. Greg, I'm done. We're going to get up and do this again tomorrow. Guys, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm going to be out. Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason, another Talker Heavy 100, will be sitting in the chair for me. And Greg, I think you'll be out those 3 days as well, coincidentally.
That's correct.
That wasn't pre-planned, I don't think, was it?
No, not entirely.
No, it was not pre-planned, so it just kind of worked out that way. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Enjoy what's left of your weekend. If you're on the West Coast, I'm jealous. It's still 8 o'clock on the West Coast. We love you guys. Go have some fun. Enjoy what's left of your weekend. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Done.